When Dylan's heartless boss fired him while his mother's unpaid hospital bill was still open on his phone. 5 minutes later, a system paid him $12,000 for refusing to crawl. At first, Dylan thought it was a glitch, but the rule was simple. Every time he chose freedom and paid a real price, the system paid him back even harder. That first reward saved his mother, and the ones after made him millions. And before this was over, the boss who fired him would watch him build a company right across from his own and tear his empire apart. But it started with one sentence. Craig Hollis glared at his mother's overdue hospital portal and sneered that family drama was not Maven Cast's problem. Dylan asked for 2 days. Craig just slid a termination form across his desk. Apologize, finish Jade Marlowe's launch, and maybe he would forget this tantrum. Crawl or leave, that was the test. Paid his rent or choose Harborview Hospital before they kicked Linda Ward out by 5 p.m. Dylan chose his mother, pushed the form back, and said to fire him. Dylan refused to beg while Linda needed a bed. Craig smiled. Because men like him believe poor people only grow a spine when it is ornamental. He buzzed HR. Witnessed this. An officer stepped in and stamped the form while trying not to look at Dylan. The stamp hit, but his phone hit back. The screen flashed black, then white, showing one clear notification: Freedom Dividend System activated. Below it, another line read: costly refusal accepted. $12,000. Boom. Dylan chuckled, not out of amusement, but because Craig was still talking, claiming Dylan would come crawling back by Monday. People like him always remember math. Dylan checked his app. $12,000 sat there, like it was just waiting for Craig to insult his mother. Then the bank text arrived, followed by the email. Craig saw Dylan's expression, and oh, did he stop smiling. The system's first rule was not noble. Freedom paid when the price was real. Dylan stood up, prompting Craig to demand where he was going. To pay a hospital, Dylan replied, suggesting Craig replace that with an intern. HR's mouth twitched. Craig's did not. He snatched the termination form back as if paper still mattered. After Dylan's phone had just shattered reality. Too bad for him. HR's copy hit his inbox before the elevator even dinged. Craig kept the paper while Dylan kept the receipt. The elevator doors opened to reveal Jade Marlowe. Of course they did. She was Maven Cast's top creator, presenting herself with clean angles and expensive calm. She looked at the HR woman, then at Dylan's box of belongings, then at Craig's office door. Dylan, she said softly, enough to sound accidental, asking if he was actually leaving. Then she stepped in front of the elevator. Craig called out that his launch dashboard was still locked under Dylan's credentials, asking for 5 minutes since Dylan always fixed things. That was Jade's trick, not exactly flirting, not begging, just a smile that made men feel chosen while doing unpaid labor. Craig was watching through the glass along with half the floor. Dylan pointed out she heard him fire him. Jade dismissed it as Craig being dramatic, but Dylan corrected her. You heard him mock his mother, and there was a massive difference. The assistants near the printer stopped pretending to sort paper. Jade lowered her voice, calling his name, warning him not to make this ugly for her launch. Dylan told her to ask her boss instead. He owned the leash. Let him pull it. Dylan slipped just a little. That tiny slip was worth $3,000. Antelepto choice accepted. Dividend issued $3,000. Jade saw the alert before Dylan locked the screen. Her eyes darted from his box to his phone, then straight to his face. Craig rushed out, yelling not to let Dylan touch the dashboard. Security can wipe his access. Good, Dylan replied. At least you finally learned to manage. A junior editor choked on a laugh, turning it into a cough. But Craig heard it, and his face instantly darkened. There was a tiny crack in his office terror where everyone used to fear him. Dylan walked to the elevator, but Jade quickly put her hand against the door, saying she could talk to Craig if this was about money. Dylan hit the lobby button, replying that when he needed money, she only needed her dashboard. That answered everything. The doors closed as her hand slid away. $15,000. But having cash did not instantly erase the years he was conditioned to apologize for needing it. Dylan spent it before fear could talk him out of it. He sent $10,000 to Paul Ward, messaging him to pay whatever they asked because he was coming. His father called back within 10 seconds, asking where he got it. Dylan replied he quit his job. Behind his father's voice, mother coughed, small and dry. That sound put a sharp hook under Dylan's ribs. Paul lowered his voice, saying the nurse warned they might move her if the bed issue wasn't resolved tonight. Dylan sent the cash, promising he would make it work. He hung up before his father could ask questions he couldn't answer. A driver outside. Maven Cass stared at Dylan's cardboard box and cheap shoes, asking if he needed the bus. Stop, Dylan replied hospital, but the driver demanded cash up front, almost making him laugh. Humiliation. Used to be a wound, but now, his system turned it straight into fuel. Dylan offered a triple fare if they stopped at a street cart first. There he ordered the massive breakfast he used to think was a reckless luxury. Eggs, bacon, cheese. Extra sausage and the expensive orange juice. The vendor stared at the giant. Heil, Dylan replied he got fired, tapped his card, approved. The stunned vendor froze, then muttered congratulations. After all, city manners are just polite confusion with receipts, so Dylan tipped him $100. Dividend issued, $800. The driver saw the tip and suddenly opened the car door for him like they were at a luxury hotel, a tiny petty status shift, and honestly it felt amazing. Dylan ate in the backseat while Craig's words echoed, people like you always. Remember math, he was right. Dylan remembered every skipped lunch, every unpaid hour, every skipped bonus because he was just support. He remembered his mother pretending the hospital blanket was actually warm enough when the car passed a luxury menswear store. Dylan ordered the driver to pull over. Hospital, right? The driver asked. Hospital after Armor, Dylan replied. He walked in carrying his ragged cardboard box and smelling like cheap breakfast food. The clerk judged him instantly, looking past him for the real customer, coldly saying returns are processed downstairs. Dylan set his box on the polished floor, replying he wasn't returning anything. She offered that fake, polite smile high-end stores reserve for poor intruders, noting prices start at $800. That's adorable, Dylan scoffed. Show me. Would you hide from customers who never ask the price? Her smile froze. Another clerk drifted closer. Dylan chose not to reveal his balance, letting her guess wrong first. The collapse is always sweeter when they embarrass themselves. He demanded a full outfit. Suit, shoes, watch, coat. If she reaches for anything Craig Hollis would wear, he is walking out. The name means nothing to the clerk, but the tone does. She tests him with a navy jacket, safe, dull, office apology fabric. He turns toward the door. Wait, the second clerk calls out. There it is, greed, arriving late but eager. She comes back with black wool, sharp shoes, and a watch costing more than his old rent. The clerks whisper to each other, saying they should let the card decide, so he pulls the black card from his wallet like it belongs there. He does not even remember receiving it. 1 second, his old debit card is on top. The next, a matte black card sits right behind it, nameless and incredibly cold. The clerk's eyes change instantly. Approved. Now the entire store shifts. Around him, the first clerk straightens his sleeve, while the second offers him water. Security guard suddenly finds somewhere else to stand. That is the real luxury product right there. Not the suit, the panic. Talk about an absolute, instant power move. $4,200. His suit fits incredibly well for someone who had walked in with his entire life packed in a box. The clerk asks if Mr. Ward would like them to discard the old clothes. No, bag them, he replies. People judging by fabric should see the before picture. The clerk snorts. Before quickly swallowing it, the other clerk turns red. Then the massive chaos starts. Clerk near the register snaps a photo of his receipt. He does not notice then. Later he learns she posted it directly to their staff gossip group. Broke kid, black card. Massive attitude. A Maven Cast employee has a close friend at that store. By the time he reaches the curb, the screenshot is already flying through phones he has never touched. Jade texts before his driver even merges into busy traffic, asking if he just bought a suit there. Before he can even type a reply, Molly says that the receipt is fake. Scarlett says the card is rented. Craig threatens to sue if company contacts were used. 1 outfit, 4 flavors of fear. Dylan types back. Tell Craig to sue his sandwich too, since it cost more than his loyalty. Jade calls immediately. He lets it ring twice, not because he is busy, but because for once she can wait. She asks what is happening. He tells her she texted him. Jade says Molly is laughing so hard she cannot breathe. Scarlett is calling him a sponsored fraud, and Craig wants to know who gave him money. Craig fired him, meaning he has officially lost the right to ask profitable questions. Jade goes quiet, showing less performance and more calculation. Then Scarlett Vegas voice cuts through. Jade has him on speaker, calling him Black Card Boy. Scarlett tells him if he is suddenly rich, take them somewhere real. He looks at the hospital portal loading on his phone and makes a crazy, useful decision. Name the place, he says. Molly Nash immediately shouts North Pier Bistro from the background. Scarlett Laughs, calling it perfect. They will smell fake money before. Dessert, 8 o'clock, Dylan replies. Scarlett scoffs, saying he cannot get a table. There anyway, enjoy being wrong over appetizers. He hangs up and calls the bistro before second thoughts can stop him, the reservation. Line gives him a polite laugh. Poor people know when a door is locked. From the other side, the hostess tells him they are fully committed tonight. He looks down at the black card on his knee. It looks less like plastic and more like a dare private room, chef's choice. Add whatever emergency fee makes that happen. The trick worked. The hostess suddenly stopped laughing. The hold lasted 18 seconds. When she returned, she spoke Dylan's name with newfound respect. She announced that North Pier Bistro could accommodate Mr. Ward at 8 o'clock. His massive bet was accepted, only a promise for now. Scarlett had set the trap herself, then his phone buzzed with hospital updates. The screen refreshed, bed reassigned. Dylan stared in absolute disbelief. The words blurred together, and his mother's room was still gone. He paid again, but a red warning banner flashed right back. Bed unavailable. The driver asked if they were still going. He looked at his expensive suit as his mother's room vanished. And $15,000 did not feel so impossible now. Yes, he told him, and drive faster. The system paid. It paid him for defying Craig and rejecting Jade completely. But Harborline Hospital did not care about his massive newfound cash. Someone had already moved much faster than his bank account. Once his mother's bed was reassigned, he learned the truth. The night clerk gave him the standard, polite runaround about his status. She claimed she only saw the portal, but Dylan insisted the bill was paid. The clerk saw the payment, but could not explain why the bed was gone. It was flagged for review, but his father could stay. Who flagged it? The line went dead silent after his question. She hung up abruptly before Dylan could ask why she did it. It made no sense at all. Just then, Paul texted him. His mother was resting, and Paul warned him not to arrive angry. Attached was a photo of a transfer clipboard showing her room. The doctor's initials were partially covered, leaving only the letters JK. Cash broke the first barrier, but someone had already locked the next gate. He could not fight the hospital bureaucracy in the middle of the night. Now watch, he steps right into the exclusive North Pier Bistro. He carried his old clothes, along with his cardboard box. The sharp suit helped his image, but the cardboard box completely ruined it. The host sneered at the box, directing him to the back entrance. Dylan replied he was eating upstairs. The host stared at his shoes. He could not figure Dylan out, but then Dylan gave his name. The host stood up straight and said the room was ready. A single name on a screen turned a dismissive host into a perfect servant. He practically escorted Dylan upstairs, as if that trashy box was pure gold. Dylan walked up the stairs slowly, as voices echoed from above. Scarlett was complaining loudly that a guy like Dylan could never book this place. She insisted he could not possibly get a reservation on such short notice. Molly Nash laughed, suggesting he was in the back washing dishes to pay. The hostess interrupted to announce that Mr. Ward had already arrived. The entire lobby fell dead silent at those shocking words. Molly asked if they meant Dylan Ward. Scarlett was completely shocked. The hostess confirmed it. He was fully pre-authorized. Service charges are beautiful. Too bad bitter people absolutely hate them. Especially when wealth speaks fluent etiquette, he slips inside the room completely unnoticed by them. He lets them climb, let them wonder if there was a mistake. Anticipation is cheaper than a rocket. Molly enters the room first. She immediately points right at his suit. Honestly, how incredibly rude. Jade's eyes instantly dart to the cardboard box, then the black card beside his glass. She glances at Ward. Scarlett looks at the card and smiles greedily. A cheap prop, Ward leans back and welcomes them upstairs. Molly circles the entire room with her phone raised, absolutely amazed by the private balcony. She jokes that she wants the documentary rights if he kidnapped a senator. Scarlett sits down. So what is the trick? Crypto, a rich aunt. She asks if Craig paid him to humiliate them, but Craig cannot afford this lunch. Jade hears the edge in his voice. Perfect, let guilt work. A server arrives with a fancy menu to announce tonight's dishes. Fennel Vapor starts the meal. Ward stops him. No vapor, no tiny lives. He demands real barbecue instead. Molly lowers her phone, shocked he ordered that in this bistro. Scarlett claps in pure delight, laughing that he secured the room but lacks any class. She thinks etiquette is a weapon that rich rooms strictly enforce. She believes money cannot bend rules. Just then, the manager appears. He politely explains their kitchen cannot handle barbecue requests. Ward points out the glass to a smoker trailer down the block. He commands them to buy out the trailer, pay the crew triple, and bring ribs. Bring the brisket, the cornbread, and whatever wine makes them suffer least. The manager protests. Good, Ward was fired today. He is celebrating chaos. Now watch, Jade gasps in disbelief. She whispers into her camera that this is either their greatest dinner or a massive lawsuit. Scarlett sneers, mockingly asking what happens if his credit card gets declined. She thinks she has him cornered. Her smile is pure poison. Ward completely ignores her and offers the manager $20,000 just to handle the disruption, plus a $10,000 tip if the ribs arrive hot. His polite smile vanishes. He is quickly recalculating. He brings the card reader himself. Scarlett sits up. Jade freezes. Molly completely forgets to film. Ward calmly taps his black card. The terminal chirps, approved. The manager stands there completely shocked. He stares down at the receipt, then looks back at Ward with sudden and profound worship. He agrees immediately. Molly cheers, but Scarlett cannot laugh. Under his napkin, the system pulses. Elite rules successfully rejected. Reckless freedom confirmed. Dividend issued, $18,000. He locks it quickly, but Jade notices the glow. She stays silent. Exactly 28 minutes later, actual hot barbecue arrives, shining brilliantly under the fancy lights. Servers carry the meat like they are smuggling joy through a museum. Molly gasps in sheer delight. Even the server laughs. Jade bites in. She stares at the cornbread like it saved her life. Scarlett hesitates. Pride is a stupid seasoning, but people love it. Poured sauce on everything. Finally, she picked up a rib with 2 fingers, sauce-coated. Her clean manicure while the entire room watched. She took a bite, her eyes betraying her instantly. Her mouth could not even lie before Molly screamed that she liked it, which Scarlett quickly denied. Scarlett kept chewing anyway. The manager returned, spotting her eating greedily with both hands, and wisely pretended to notice nothing. That sheer restraint alone earned him a massive tip. Scarlett tried to recover her composure while the others ate. Nice trick, but prepaid rooms do not prove real wealth. They are just theater. Molly pointed toward the trays. If this is theater, she joked, then she absolutely supported the arts. Scarlett opened the premium wine list, dragging a red. Nailed down the page until finding the exact number she wanted. She demanded this specific bottle, telling the manager it was the rarest selection, since Dylan was apparently allergic to normal behavior. Jade set her fork down and told Scarlett to stop, but Scarlett just shrugged. He was the one showing them true freedom, she claimed. She did not actually care about the wine. She wanted that second swipe. Fake stories crumble when the card reader chirps twice. The manager looked at Dylan, quoting $12,000 with service. Scarlett smirked, sitting back like she had just placed a crown onto a guillotine. Jade leaned in, whispering that Dylan did not have to pay, he knew, which was exactly why he did it anyway, tapping his black card. Approved. Scarlett stared at the card terminal as if it had betrayed her personally. Dylan told the manager not to bring that bottle to their table. The manager froze. He told him to open it for the hardworking kitchen and floor staff instead. They built this place, so they deserved the bottle. A nearby server nearly dropped her empty serving tray. Molly whispered that it was beautifully evil. Scarlett's face immediately tightened. She had tried to humiliate him, but he paid for absolutely everyone, except her. Status reclaimed, earning him $6,500. The manager bowed his head just enough for the entire room to notice, calling him incredibly generous. Dylan replied that true generosity would have been silent. Molly nearly fell right out of her chair. Even Jade let out a tiny, reluctant smile. She whispered that he could easily use money like this to make people chase him. Dylan wiped sauce from his thumb, noting that people already chase money without his help. He did not need to watch them embarrass themselves. Jade held his gaze deeply. Scarlett saw that intimate look and absolutely hated it. Her next trap was already forming. Before the staff could hide the bottle, but wait, unexpected drama arrived. Because peaceful endings simply do not exist here, a young server secretly filmed 10 seconds through the cracked kitchen door, showing no faces, only gourmet barbecue trays inside the exclusive bistro. Tasting room alongside one blurred black card receipt. Within mere minutes, a local restaurant gossip page posted it, a mystery buyer ordering backyard food inside the tasting room and forcing management to comply. Molly spotted it first, whispering a soft warning which, for her, always meant total excitement. Her own selfie went online next, showing Jade barbecue sauce. Stained fingers and Dylan's expensive watch caught in the corner. A gossip page reposted both. Then Jade's phone began to buzz relentlessly. She glanced at the screen, instantly turning pale. She turned the screen toward Dylan. Craig wanted to know if that was him in the viral bistro video, demanding to know who was funding this lavish dinner. Scarlett grinned maliciously. There it is, she thought. Jade quickly placed her phone face down, warning Dylan that Craig watched. Every single creator clip online. Connecting them tonight would end terribly. He had fired her, but he still owned her professional contract. That instantly killed the lighthearted dinner mood Craig still held. A tight leash, and Jade had just revealed exactly where it connected. Scarlett immediately pounced on the opportunity. Scarlett makes it clear, Glass House is a public place with cameras everywhere. If Dylan is real, he keeps spending, but if he has a sponsor, that sponsor gets nervous. Molly's eyes widen at Scarlett, who simply shrugs. He wanted a regular. Jade tells Dylan he has nothing to prove to her, which is almost true. He did not need to prove anything to Scarlett, but he had to learn what this system rewarded. Especially when public humiliation keeps walking up to him wearing perfume and lipstick. Under the table, Dylan checks his phone, bed reassigned. Admissions review pending, still stuck. Then Paul texts his mom is finally awake. She asked if he ate. Dylan lies, typing back to tell her he ate too much. He promises to handle the rest, then looks at Scarlett. The Glass House Club awaits. If she wants a public test, she shouldn't cry when the public chooses. Scarlett wipes her thumb. She acts like she already won, demanding he bring the card. Dylan slides it into his wallet. He needs a better trap. By the time they leave, the lobby staff is watching him. They watch Dylan like he is either a whale or a hazard. Jade walks beside him, silent. Molly walks behind them, whispering to her phone that for legal reasons, he did not eat $3,000 of brisket. He ate opportunity. Scarlett walks ahead. She is texting fast. Dylan does not know who she is messaging, and he does not need to. The next stage has lights, cameras, drinks, and a crowd just waiting for someone to fall. Scarlett thought she invited Dylan to the Glass House Club to expose his fake wealth. In reality, she just invited him to find out how loud this new system could get. This club was not a place people went to drink. It was a place to be seen. A place to be seen making mistakes, which is exactly why Scarlett picked it. Crowd, cameras, and enough noise that if his card fails, the humiliation spreads instantly. The news would travel before he even reaches the door. Dylan walks in, phone still open. The hospital app still says bed reassigned and review pending. Same poison, new room. Jade notices and asks about the hospital. It is not solved, so why is he here? Because Scarlett volunteered to pay for his next test with her own ego. Jade almost smiles, calling it a terrible reason, though Craig fired him for a better one. Dylan claims he is just diversifying. Suddenly, the floor host straightens up for Jade, then spots Dylan. Not famous carrying a cardboard box, the host's attention slides right past him. Scarlett brightens up, proudly pointing out that the Glass House Club clearly has taste. Dylan sets his box on a high table, noting the club has lights and expensive ice. He warns not to get spiritual. Molly snorts while Scarlett waves a bartender over. She speaks loudly enough for all the nearby tables to hear her plan. Private dice, top-shelf rounds, and the loser buys for the entire room. The bartender looks at Dylan first, showing that Scarlett has already set up the joke. Dylan asks her to define loser. Scarlett pulls 3 glossy, red dice from her purse. Lowest total buys for 3 rounds, then the loser admits they borrowed the card. Molly's smile instantly dies. She warns Scarlett that this is not funny at all. Scarlett just shrugs. It is hilarious if he is actually lying. Jade steps closer and warns him not to play. It was the smart move, so Dylan ignores it. Not because he trusts Scarlett, but because he wants her to say the ugly truth out loud. Before he ruins her, Dylan asks what happens if he wins, and she offers to admit he is rich. He calls that cheap and lanes in. If he wins, she must admit she wanted him broke. Because broke men are easier to laugh at. Suddenly, the nearby tables fall completely silent. Scarlett kept smiling, but her neck turned red. Roll, she demanded, and she rolled. First, 17, Molly whispered, that is suspiciously high. Scarlett blew on the dice. Your turn, black card boy, she mocked as she slid them to Dylan. The old Dylan would have rolled, prayed, and just felt grateful to lose quietly. The new Dylan had a system that paid for ugly freedom. He picked up the dice. He dropped them right into Scarlett's drink. The table gasped. Scarlett shot upright. What is wrong with you? She yelled. Dylan looked at the bartender. Open a bar credit. How much? The bartender asked. 50,000, Dylan replied. The man laughed once. His brain rejected that number. Then Dylan put his black card down, and the laughter stopped. Scarlett protested, but Dylan cut her off. I can, that is why you brought me. The machine approved so fast it felt like an insult. The staff screen behind the bar showed an open credit of $50,000, paid by Dylan Ward. First round, Dylan announced, is on Scarlett's honesty. The bartender repeated it into the microphone. He loved chaos when someone else funded it, and the crowd immediately started to cheer. They cheered before they even knew why. Just give people free drinks and a villain. They build the story themselves. Molly covered her mouth. Jade stared at Dylan like he had set a small building on fire and called it lighting. Scarlett stood frozen as strangers raised glasses toward her. Dylan leaned close. You wanted a post-smile for this. Phones lifted, trap rejected. Public humiliation successfully turned around. Dividend issued, $28,000. The reward landed hot because Scarlett saw just enough of the glow to know the night was not obeying normal rules. She grabbed her drink, remembered the dice, and threw it all into a napkin bucket. The crowd laughed. Then Halo Stream found them. Molly was still streaming because she treated privacy like a technical error. Her chat exploded with clips of the bar credit screen. Then Luna Arden entered the chat. She did not even come to the club. She did not need to. A challenge request filled Jade's screen. Luna Arden challenges Jade Marlowe to a live PK. Jade's face changed. This was no longer just dinner drama, a PK. It was simple. Two creators go live, viewers buy rockets, and the loser gets humiliated in front of their own audience. Luna was Maven Cast's other crown. Jade was exhausted, trapped in a rumor, and still bound by Craig's contract. Perfect time to attack. Scarlett recovered instantly because someone else had brought a knife. Now we see who is actually worth money. Jade turned her phone away. Not tonight. Luna's request flashed again. Message flashed underneath. Scared already. Molly's chat went completely feral. Jade's jaw tightened. Pride is expensive, and creator pride charges heavy interest. She accepted. Jade, Dylan said. She did not look at him, whispering that if she declined, Craig would call her dead. Wait, by morning, there was that leash again. Jade went live from a side booth. The club crowd pushed closer. Scarlett took a seat like she had bought front row tickets. Luna appeared on the split screen, polished, rested, and cruel, the way only a rival creator can be while smiling. Jade, North Pier Bistro, Glass House Club, and still no energy. Maven Cast really is carrying you, she mocked. Jade smiled for the camera. You always talk more when you are nervous, she shot back. Good line, bad scoreboard. Luna's side jumped first. Rockets stacked across her screen. In gold bursts, Jade's donors lagged behind, clearly confused by those rumor clips. Some feared crossing Luna, others were likely told not to, and Jade began to fall behind. She trailed by 20,000 points, then 40, then 60. Scarlett leaned toward Dylan, mocking his freedom. He watched Jade keep smiling, even as her fingers tightened under the table. The answer was in his wallet, but he waited for the perfect moment. He wanted Luna to overcommit, and Jade to feel the heavy cost of Craig's leash. Meanwhile, Molly was frowning at her creator dashboard, muttering that something was very strange. She turned her screen to reveal rows of accounts, spamming the exact same line for Luna. They had the same timing, same badges, and same empty profiles. Molly's voice dropped. She admitted Craig's growth team used this exact bot pattern on her own account last month. Jade looked over. Molly blushed deeply, but she kept speaking as shame finally found a target. She confessed she really thought they were real followers, helping her grow. Instantly, the live chat caught it, shouting that Molly just admitted to buying followers. Viewers started questioning if Luna's entire hype was completely fake. Scarlett snapped at Molly to turn off her mic, but Molly just stared at the chat. Then she did the first brave thing Dylan had ever seen her do. She grabbed that mic. Pointing the mic toward herself, she announced live that if Maven Cast sold her fakes, she wanted to know how many other creators they had lied to. The club reacted before Jade even could. People love free drinks, but they love public scandals more. The crowd turned on Luna, and her smile froze. That was Dylan's cue. He opened the stream app in private donor mode. No name, no messages, no begging for attention, just pure rockets. The first 10 hit. They landed on Jade's side so fast the speakers crackled, and the score jumped. Luna blinked. Scarlett sat straight up. Dylan sent 20 more, and Jade's chat exploded. The scoreboard crossed the halfway mark. Luna laughed it off, but her tension showed. She spoke too quickly, mocking Jade's new sponsor before claiming she sent 50 more. The club started chanting Jade's name. Everyone loves watching arrogant people get humbled. Jade looked wildly around, desperate to see who this mystery donor was. Dylan kept his phone low. Suddenly, Luna's side responded with another massive rocket storm. For 8 seconds, it actually looked like she might hold her lead, but then Dylan's phone vibrated. A system alert flashed, rescue under pressure recognized. The matching dividend unlocked, revealing a massive balance even larger than before. Dylan did not stop to admire the cash. He just bought rockets relentlessly. The scoreboard went crazy. Jade passed Luna and completely buried her. She even doubled her score. The final bell rang. Jade won and the club erupted. Molly screamed so loudly the speaker distorted, while Jade tried keeping her composure. Once the stream ended, Jade's calm mask cracked, demanding to know who sent those. Scarlett looked straight at Dylan, so did Molly, along with half the club. Subtlety was long gone. Dylan pocketed his phone, saying he just hates bad timing. His screen confirmed a $62,000 dividend. Jade noticed the screen light under his palm, refusing to play dumb this time. She whispered his name. Suddenly, Craig Hollis walked inside. He looked like a man trying to outrun humiliation, but arriving far too late. His tie was crooked, which gave Dylan a very satisfying rush of happiness. 2 of his employees followed behind, showing him a viral clip on their phones. On the floor, the bar credit, Molly's bot comment, and Jade's win stitched. Together like a murder weapon, the chaotic scene had finally reached the boss, Craig. He pointed directly at Jade, demanding she go outside immediately. Jade stood and Dylan stood up too. Craig looked at him and laughed coldly. He mocked Dylan for sniffing around his creator's hours after being fired. Dylan told Craig to try clapping, causing the boss's eyes to go flat. Craig snapped that someone manipulated donations during a contract-protected live event. He threatened penalties for unauthorized activity, and Jade's shoulders stiffened. There it was. Craig did not need a victory, he just wanted a leash. With Molly's stream still running, Craig leaned toward the phone, raising his voice. He announced Jade Marlowe was under exclusive Maven cast management, warning everyone. He threatened that anyone interfering would face lawsuits, then turned to Dylan. He sneered that Dylan could never afford that massive number. The room quieted. Craig had finally said the wrong thing in this room. Dylan stepped between them, challenging Craig to name the penalty, prompting a smirk. When Craig claimed 8 figures, Dylan calmly told him to send the invoice. Dylan spoke quietly to force Craig to listen, yet loud enough for the stream. He demanded the buyout price instead, causing a worried Jade to grab his sleeve. Craig mockingly asked if Dylan would buy Jade, but Dylan calmly denied it. He was buying the leash. Craig kept waving around, and that hit hard. The bartender stopped polishing a glass, and Molly whispered this was going viral. Craig stepped closer, grabbing for Jade's arm, muttering that they were done there. Dylan caught Craig's wrist before he could touch her, sending a sharp silence. Craig stared at Dylan's hand, unable to believe a fired employee dared oppose him. Dylan warned Craig to let go and avoid looking guilty on camera. Molly filmed the standoff without breathing as Craig pulled his wrist free. But the room had already seen Craig fail to shake Dylan's grip. He warned that tomorrow she belonged to Maven Cast again. Dylan replied that he would start shopping tomorrow, as an employee whispered. The employee warned Craig that the office chat was asking about Dylan's sponsor. Craig snapped at them to shut up, but the stream caught everything. That single line did massive damage, leaving Maven Cast completely confused. Confused bosses get sloppy, and Craig quickly left with his employees chasing him. Half the club filmed Craig's exit as Jade finally exhaled in relief. Molly ended her stream and stared at the replay, questioning her followers. When Jade tried to comfort her, Molly begged her not to sugarcoat it. Realizing her career was built on fake praise, Molly declared she wanted out. It was not a full alliance yet, but a real crack had formed. The system did not reward Dylan immediately, which made it feel more meaningful. Some things did not need a system pop-up to matter. Then Dylan's phone rang. It was a call from Paul, Dylan's father, whose voice sounded too controlled. He warned Dylan that a nurse had suddenly moved up his mother's hospital transfer. They claimed another patient needed her room tonight, causing the club noise to fade. Dylan asked who ordered it, but his father replied only a doctor signed off. Paid bills could not buy safety. Dylan rushed out while Jade promised to follow. Dylan grabs his cardboard box, ignoring the questions, His mother is being moved. Scarlett opens her mouth, then shuts it, easily her smartest move all night. Molly whispers, asking if he needs the name on that order. He heads out. Jade follows, but Dylan stops. Do not follow me. He tells her not to follow out of guilt. She swallows, persisting. Craig just showed her what a leash looks like. Her honest answer gets her a pass. He lets her walk beside him. Outside, the cool night air clears his lungs. Dylan had won the bar, saved Jade, and challenged Craig on live camera. But none of that mattered against his father's call. He expected hospital trouble. He was wrong. Someone had already put a price on his mother's bed. Absolutely sickening. By the time he reaches Harbor Line Hospital, his mother is still there. That was the first small mercy. The second stood right outside her room. The nurse in blue scrubs holds a chart, looking ready to risk her job. She urges him to listen fast. Inside, Dylan's father stands up from his chair. He stands beside Linda's bed, with that careful look poor men get around sickness. Linda lies asleep, her hands looking fragile on top of the thin blanket. The nurse whispers that the transfer is set for 6:15, signed by Dr. Kramer. If Dylan is not there before transport, she moves, but moved where? Observation overflow, basically a slightly brighter hallway. Jade steps up quickly. She reminds them the bill is paid. The nurse looks at Dylan, hesitant. The transfer is not about the money. Cash had opened the first lock. But someone with a real name tag closed the second. Dylan asks why she cares. She glances at Linda, explaining that the sick woman apologized for being a burden. Genuine burdens never apologize. That simple sentence hits Dylan harder than Craig's schemes. 6:15 is the official time, but Dr. Kramer sends transport early to avoid scenes. To bypass arguments, transport comes early. Dylan vows to return by 5:50. She nods and walks away before she can regret her kindness. Paul turns to him. Paul touches his arm, questioning the suit. Dylan brushes it off. Paul says the bill is clear, but Uncle Harvey called. Of course he did. Uncle Harvey Denton has vulture-like timing. Paul had borrowed from him. He needed the first deposit, preferring shame over admitting he was out of options. Harvey held that debt like a hobby, loving any excuse to call them desperate. Suddenly, Dylan's phone buzzes. It is Harvey, demanding his money back immediately. He texts that the debt is family business. If Dylan has restaurant money, bring it. Deliver it before breakfast, he demands. Jade notices Dylan's sudden expression change. Dylan tells Paul to stay with Linda. Paul warns that Harvey wants to humiliate him. Dylan welcomes it. Jade grabs his wrist, reminding him a doctor is coming at 6. He has 2 hours to silence a greedy relative. Her grip slowly loosens. She finally understands leashes now. He should head straight to Uncle Harvey's house. But his own apartment building catches his ankle first. He returns there briefly. He needs Linda's blanket, charger, and the folder his father forgot. His landlady waits. She stands in the lobby as if bad news had tipped her off. She eyes his suit. Her smile holds all the warmth of a parking ticket. Well, nice costume, Dylan Ward. Rent still counts even when you play rich. A nearby man laughs into his coffee. She blocks the elevator, reminding him of what his father had promised her. Pay the balance by Friday. Harvey already called asking if your parents have anything worth selling. This is not a charity. People always say that right before they ask you for cash. Dylan calmly asks how much to stop hearing her voice for a year. Her smile fades. Excuse me, 12 months of rent, late fees, and whatever little punishment fee makes her feel superior. She blurts out a massive number too fast. She had been carrying that number like a weapon. Dylan taps his black card. Proved. The man by the mailboxes stops laughing. Print the receipt, Dylan says. My father likes paper proof. The landlady instantly regrets mentioning his sick mother. That should have been enough information to act like a decent human. System alert, secure shelter dividend issued. Another card sits in his wallet. It is matte black, no bank logo, just a single glowing silver line. The card reads Baycrest Estates. The landlady sees the words and instantly goes quiet. Dylan does not even know what those words mean yet. But her eyes change completely, as if realizing the stray dog now owns the block. Keep the apartment for my parents, Dylan warns, if she touches his mother's things again, he will buy the whole building just to evict her. The bystander coughs coffee. Let's be real, that was a massive mood improvement. Then Uncle Harvey calls again. Dylan answers on speaker so everyone can hear. Where are you? Harvey demands over the line. Dylan simply replies, paying debts. Harvey scoffs and demands cold cash, refusing to trust some modern mobile apps. 15 minutes later, Dylan walks right into Uncle Harvey Denton's living room. The greedy uncle has invited quite the audience. Harvey sits in his recliner, looking like a cheap judge. Nearby, the gorgeous Kelsey Rain stands holding a glass of wine. The same girl who used to call him sweet whenever she needed help with homework, but made him invisible when rich kids arrived. Beside her stands Brandon Gage. He has massive shoulders, heavy pockets, and the arrogant smile of a rich contractor. Harvey looks Dylan over, mocking the charity case for buying a nice suit. Kelsey giggles while Brandon sneers. State the debt amount, Dylan demands. No greeting, no gratitude, Harvey asks. Your father came begging with his hat in hand. I kept your mother in that hospital, but Dylan shoots back. You lent money with interest. Do not dress your greed up as family love. It looks cheap on you. Harvey turns red with fury, while Kelsey spots the expensive luxury watch on Dylan's wrist. Brandon notices her looking and immediately pulls her close, treating her like property. Careful, Ward, Brandon warns. Some families still care about their reputations. Then protect yours from this conversation. Uncle Harvey slaps a folder down. $28,000 with penalties. Paul had borrowed less than half of that. Dylan does not even argue. He lets Harvey gloat before transferring $40,000. The uncle's phone suddenly buzzes. That tiny sound cuts through the silent room. Harvey's face shifts from anger to confusion to pure greed in 3 ugly steps. That is for the debt, interest, and a tip to get lost, Dylan says. Kelsey freezes with her wine glass midair. Brandon's arm slips from her waist. System alert, family debt cleared under insult. A dividend is issued. $34,000. Kelsey recovers first. Social climbers are like roaches. Dylan, she says, her voice suddenly softening. Why did you never tell me things were changing for you like this? This was the same Kelsey who once called Dylan husband material for a woman with low standards at a cookout while Brandon laughed. Because you only hear money, Dylan replied. I was waiting until I could afford your attention. Kelsey's cheeks instantly flushed. Brandon stepped forward, snapping, you think paying old family debt makes you something? No, Dylan replied, it makes me done here. Then Brandon made his mistake. He looked at Dylan's Harbor Line visitor sticker and smiled. Harbor Line, right, my family is moving someone there tomorrow. Private room, chief attention, the whole package. You should have asked me, I know people. Kelsey glanced at him, whispering Brandon. He kept going because men like him confuse warnings with applause. Dr. Kramer owed me a favor, he bragged. Beds open when the right patient arrives. That is how cities work. There it was, not proof for a courtroom, but plenty for Dylan. He smiled. Brandon did not like that. What? Nothing, Dylan replied. I just found the smell. Dylan walked away before Brandon realized he was burning. Outside, Dylan's phone pulsed. And this time it did not show cash. Public care route detected. Richfield. Community wing pledge available. Cobalt construction contact authorized. Hector. Lyle, the system had stopped handing Dylan only money. Now it was opening doors. Dylan called. A rough voice answered on the 3rd ring. Hector Lyle, Dylan Ward here. I need Harbor Line's chief awake before 6. Dr. Kramer is moving my mother for. Brandon Gage, silence. Then Dylan played Brandon's brag. Good. Loud men are easier to drop, Hector said. Get to the ward, I will bring Dr. Marin Fields too. Use one door, one name, one deadline. Talk about a brutal healthcare reform. Dylan reached Harbor Line at 5:48. Transport was already there. The charge nurse stood in front of Linda's door with both hands on the chart. An orderly whispered, they usually do this after family leaves. It was not just Dylan's mother, but a habit. Dr. Joel Kramer walked down the hall looking official in his white coat. Even if he was just a bully with credentials. Mr. Ward, your mother is stable for transfer. Please do not obstruct staff. Paul stepped out. She ready? Paul snapped. Kramer ignored him, saying, families rarely feel ready. Same poison as Craig, just a different building. You signed the order after the bill was. Hey, Dylan said, bed management is medical discretion. Kramer snapped, and Brand engages. Family is medical necessity. Kramer's face flickered. Tiny, fast, but enough. The charge nurse saw it too. He lifted his clipboard. Security can remove you. Call them. I want an audience. Kramer leaned closer. You people think one. Payment makes you owners. Jade caught Dylan's father's arm. She had come back in last night's clothes, her eyes sharp and tired. Which people? Dylan asked. Kramer realized the hallway was full of watching nurses. Too late, a voice behind him said. I would like to hear that answer, too. Dr. Marin Fields walked up with Hector Lyle at her side. Hector looked like he belonged on a construction site. Dr. Fields Looked like she had been woken up angry and decided to stay that way. Kramer. Straightened, sputtering, Dr. Fields, this is a family disruption. She looked at Dylan. Mr. Ward, Dylan said, my mother's bill is paid, yet Kramer signed the transfer, and an hour ago, Brandon Gage bragged that Kramer owed him and beds open when the right patient arrives. That is hearsay, Kramer snapped. No, that was bait. This is the lock. Dylan held up his phone and played the 30 seconds he had recorded in Harvey's driveway, where Brandon had followed him. He stands there bragging, his voice filling the hall, but Kramer already knows. Ward's mother is moving before rounds, and his patient gets the room by 8. Kramer goes pale as Hector turns his tablet toward Dr. Fields. Cobalt Construction is ready to advance the Richfield Community Wing pledge under Ward's funding, but not through a corridor that actively sells patient beds. Kramer realized the floor had vanished beneath him, grabbing for her sleeve. He pleaded to discuss this privately, but she stared until he let go. Dr. Kramer, step away from Linda Ward's medical chart. The hallway fell silent as Kramer argued she could not suspend him publicly. She took his badge off his coat herself, proving she just did. Linda Ward remains in protected care as Kramer lunges for the badge. His knee hits the tile, he stumbles, and nobody helps him up. An orderly whispers that it was about time, which meant everything. His mother's bed was not the first sold, just the first one defended. Dr. Fields turned to the charge nurse, ordering the transport canceled. Protected care means no transfers without her direct signature. Paul covered his mouth in shock as Jade silently watched Linda's door. She did not joke as the corrupt doctor's authority collapsed. With family care protected, his $75,000 dividend is issued. As the pledge is accepted, he locks his screen from sight. Dr. Fields did not ask, knowing smart people notice miracles first. Brandon arrived 5 minutes after Kramer lost his badge, with Kelsey trailing behind. Harvey was missing, as cowards leave their witnesses behind. Brandon demanded to know where Kramer was, raising his voice angrily. The nurse smiled coldly, replying that he was currently unavailable. Hector blocked him, stating his construction crew was now also unavailable. Cobalt Construction was actively reviewing every risk in their subcontracts. Brandon's phone suddenly rang out before he could even reply. His face turned pale as a panicked worker's voice came through. The caller screamed that all staging permits had been abruptly pulled. Brandon stared at him while the entire hallway watched, and Kelsey took a step slowly away from him. That small step was a massive insult. He mocked Brandon, whose jaw flexed as he warned that rows are different. Brandon threatened to block him, but he challenged Brandon to do it publicly. He pointed a shaking finger at him, and that reaction was the payoff. Not the money, but his mother staying in that room while corrupt men who treated her like furniture realized he could price them right back. Paul sat down as if exhausted, while Brandon backed away in defeat. He kept shouting about permits and respect, while our hero watched him leave. At the time, he thought Brandon was just tomorrow's problem. But then Jade's phone rang. Craig Hollis had waited for his mother to be safe before trying to drag Jade back on a tight leash. Brandon left yelling about staging permits and how nobody cancels his crews. Hector Lyle watched him storm off with the absolute calm of a seasoned pro. Hector warned not to chase Brandon, since he only wants them exhausted. He was correct. Then Jade's phone rang, and Craig Hollis reminded him how some leashes work. They pull from 2 buildings at once. Craig didn't even wait for a hello, his voice carried right to Paul's hallway chair, ordering her to board that sponsor flight and smile. Then she had to explain last night was just a hacked donation stunt by a fired employee with stolen access. Jade's jaw tightened as she argued Dylan saved her rank. Craig barked that Dylan was unemployed, dismissing pity as real power. Dylan held out his hand. Jade hesitated, then put the phone on speaker and handed it over. That was the first real step she took off the leash. Craig, Dylan said, silence, then a sharp laugh. Pleased and condescending. Of course you are there, Craig mocked, asking if Dylan now just hovers around sick rooms and creators, waiting to feel useful. Paul flinched and Jade's expression shifted. That was Craig's real talent, finding the open wound in any room and pressing it like a butt. Send the buyout number, Dylan demanded. Craig stopped laughing, warning her penalty was 8 figures. Plus the sponsor breach would add even more. He claimed Dylan couldn't afford that sentence. Send it, Dylan challenged, or admit on speaker you are too scared to name the price. The hallway went dead silent around them. Noon, Craig replied, Maven Cast conference room, bring your rented card. He wanted the whole floor to watch it decline. Perfect, Dylan thought. He liked having witnesses now. Craig hung up, leaving Jade looking furious. She snapped that he wasn't buying her. Good, Dylan would have hated her if she sounded grateful too quickly. He told her he was only buying the lock. What happens next was entirely her problem. Her eyes locked with his before she nodded once, joining him. But before heading to Maven Cast, they made one quick stop at the airport where Craig's handler waited, holding an apology script open on a company phone. Jade, thank God, she sighed. Craig wanted the statement recorded before boarding. Donation. Errors of fired employee, a personal mistake with no mention of bots. A red recording dot blinked under the text. Jade grabbed the phone, stopped the feed, and deleted the script completely. The handler whispered that if she missed this flight, Craig would bench her for breach. Dylan held out his hand, telling the handler to call him. Craig answered instantly. He shouted, telling her that the fired errand boy wouldn't make her charity content. Nearby, two teenage girls by the departure doors recognized Jade and lifted their phones. Perfect, Dylan said into the company phone conference room, buyout number. Bring her, bring the card, and bring your little hospital sob story if you need any courage. As the gate called final boarding, Jade stayed put, sliding her sponsor badge off her lanyard and dropping it in the handler's hand. Maven Cast could explain why their top creator was being threatened right in an airport. The sponsor flight left without her. By noon, the Maven Cast conference room was packed before they even entered. Craig had invited the wrong crowd on purpose. Assistants, managers, a lawyer clutching a folder, and 3 people who had smirked when Human Resources officially fired Dylan. First, they stared at his sharp suit, then at Jade, then at the cardboard box he carried because, yes, he brought his belongings. Petty moves are free, and he loved free things. Craig sat at the head of the table, sneering that Dylan looked better than yesterday. He wondered if the sponsor dressed him too, as Dylan set the box down. That sound made everyone look. No, this is yesterday. He brought it so their room could recognize him. An assistant coughed into her sleeve. Craig's smile flattened. He pointed at Jade, telling her to sit. Jade stayed standing beside him. Small move. Huge disrespect. The room felt it. Craig opened the folder. Jade Marlowe is under exclusive Maven Cast representation. Unauthorized sponsor activity. Reputational harm, platform disruption, public defiance. Just a number, he demanded. The legal employee blinked. Craig leaned back, telling him he does not get to rush this. You rushed firing him while his mother lay in a hospital bed. He learned from management. Just a number. Craig slid one page across the table. $10 million. He watched his face like a man waiting for gravity to return. He looked at the number long enough for the room to breathe again. Is that all? The legal employee dropped the cap of her pen. Craig laughed too loudly, shouting to run it. Finance manager carried in a terminal with both hands. Craig did not want the money. Talk about a power trip. He wanted that public decline in front of the woman he sought. He was saving. He put his black card down. The terminal chirped, processing. The cruelest word in finance. Craig smiled, then the machine approved. $10 million left his account like it had somewhere better to be. The finance manager stared. It cleared. Nobody moved, so he helped them. Say it louder, he urged. Her throat bobbed. The buyout payment cleared. Jade closed her eyes. Craig's hand bent the folder. Contract lease challenged. Resource transfer accepted. Dividend issued, 2.5 million. He locked the screen. Jade saw enough glow to know the system had answered the room. Craig stood, snapping that this does not make him a company. An assistant by the window made a small sound. Craig turned, snapping what? She pointed across the street before she could stop herself. Everyone looked. On the empty glass floor facing Maven Cast, 2 workers were pressing temporary white letters onto the window. Free fall. Media. Craig saw the name at the exact same time his floor did. Not a speech, not a business plan, a sign his employees would see every time they looked up from obeying him. Molly Nash's laugh came from a phone near the back. She was not there, but her clip had found the office chat. Did they put the new company across the street? That is violence with rent. Craig snapped, demanding they turn it off. Too late. Jade laughed once, just once. Craig looked at her like that laugh had stolen property from him. He slid a 1-page contract to Jade, 70-30 in her favor. No fake follower padding, no sponsor lock without consent, no dashboard hostage. She could leave if he ever turned into Craig. Craig muttered that this is not how the business works. Jade picked up the pen. Saying that is why it sounds attractive, she signed. The pen made a small scratch. The whole room heard it like glass breaking. A loyal creator was liberated. Company path opened, no cash amount this time, just a progress bar with the word free fall above it. He liked that less, which probably meant it mattered more. Craig stepped toward Jade, telling her she would regret this. I already did, she said. That is why she signed. Clean hit. They left through the main floor, not the side. Exit not strategy, spite wearing good shoes. The assistants watched Jade carry her own contract out. One handler whispered, asking if he can buy anyone. He looked at him, answering that it depends how ugly the leash is. 3 phones rose before he reached the elevator. Craig shouted behind them that this was not over. The doors shut. Jade leaned against the elevator wall, letting her professional mask slip away. For 2 seconds she looked terrified, then completely free. She admits she does not know how to work without someone threatening her. Dylan tells her to learn fast. He just bought a company with no chairs. She laughs, and this time it does not sound like branding. Hector texts before they reach the lobby. Brandon is apparently calling every road contact he has, but his crew is already off the pre-clear list. If he screams in public, it actually helps them. That fire can burn unattended. The second fire had an address in his wallet, Bakerust Estates. The key card that dropped right behind his black card made no sense at all, meaning it needed a stage. Jade tags along because freedom makes her pretty nosy. Bakerust Estates sat behind a stone gate, a lake, and enough landscaping to make rent feel like a personal insult. The office looked like a private bank. Dylan walked in carrying that same cardboard box. Jade stares at it, whispering that he is doing this on purpose. The box has range. Manager in a gray suit intercepts them before they reach the desk. Contractor. Check-in is through service, he sneers. April, behind the desk, looks up, sharply stating they came through the main gate. April, I see that, he snaps, turning back to Dylan. Resident tour are by appointment only. Public curiosity is not allowed past reception, but the old Dylan is long gone. The current Dylan has paid way too much for silence to waste it. Scan it, he says. Holding out the card, the manager smiles, saying that card is for residents. Then, scanning it should be educational, Dylan replies. April reaches for the card reader. The manager snaps not to validate random cards just because someone wore a suit. April hesitates. People in her position just decide if decency is worth a supervisor's angry tone. She scans it. The desk lights green. A chime rings through the sales office. On the wall screen, his name appears. Dylan Ward, Bakerust Estates. Owner access. The manager's mouth drops open, but nothing comes out. April whispers, welcome, Mr. Ward. The manager recovers the way stupid authority always does, immediately lashing out at the subordinate beneath him. April, step away from the desk, he demands. That profile is clearly in error. I am calling executive verification. Go ahead, Dylan replies, call them. He did not like that, so Dylan calls the number on the welcome screen himself. Lee Morgan's office. The manager's face changes at the name. Dylan Ward here, your manager thinks my estate profile is a costume, he says. A pause, then Lee Morgan herself speaks, asking Mr. Ward to stay put. She arrives in under 3 minutes, looking at the wall screen. The manager. Then April, who scanned him in, she asks. The manager points at April, blaming her. She violated protocol, he stammers. April goes pale. Dylan says she treated him like a customer before knowing he mattered. That is a dangerous trait. You should promote her. Lee looks at April, then the manager. You are relieved from resident-facing duties. Security will collect your badge, she says. His face collapses. He turns to Dylan with sudden moisture in his eyes, pleading that he was only protecting the community. No, Dylan replies. You were protecting your imagination of it. April watches him hand over his badge with both hands nervously pressed together at her waist. Lee faces. Lee tells April she will handle Dylan's estate account, flag his profile for executive priority and resident owner recognition. April blinks in shock, but Lee assures her she made the right call under pressure. That job. April looks at Dylan. He offers congratulations, warning her not to turn into her former boss. Her shaky laugh is real. Fairness gets rewarded. Cash in, dividend issued, $410,000. Lee hands Dylan a folder, a gate remote, and one heavy metal key carrying the Bay crest emblem. No tour is needed, just a key heavy enough to make the room shift. Jade stares. She asks if he owns a place, and he shrugs. Apparently is doing a lot of heavy lifting lately, she jokes. It is on probation. April updates Dylan's profile. triggering an automatic resident owner alert from the system. To Baycrest's partner list, Dylan misses the alert, but Jade catches it on her phone. It is a screenshot from Molly. Office chat leaks. Why is Dylan Ward listed as a Baycrest owner? They wonder. Across the street, Craig is still telling everyone that Dylan's money is just rented. Now his own assistant wants to know if that rental comes with a massive lake estate. They leave with the keys, but a problem across town is already screaming. Jade's phone vibrates again. Before they even reach the car, the new freefall dashboard has zero furniture, no studio equipment, and no coffee machine yet, but it does have challenges, dozens of them. Mavencast has sent live battle challenges to every single rookie Jade just recruited, including Noelle Rivera, a nervous girl who only signed because Jade promised to protect her. Noelle's frantic message is short: they are attacking us right now. Jade looks at Dylan. Craig cannot sue his money back, so he is trying to crush their new company before they even have chairs. Mavencast attacks before the delivery truck can even arrive. No exaggeration here. Freefall Media has just a logo on glass, a folding table, and 3 borrowed lights. There is an unpacked coffee machine and 6 rookie creators trying to look brave while their phones scream. Noelle Rivera stands closest to Jade, clutching her device with trembling hands. She asks why they challenged her when she only has 800 followers. Jade looks at the screen and goes cold, because they know exactly that. Craig did not send lawyers, he sent scoreboards, and every Freefall creator now has a live battle request from a Mavencast rival, with bigger numbers and smug thumbnails already waiting. The comment section is even worse. They call it a speedrun collapse. Jade left Mavencast for a broom closet, and Dylan bought one creator but forgot payroll exists. Then the ruthless penalty terms arrive. Mavencast wants viral clips, not just wins. Every losing rookie must pin public apology calling her new agency a fraud. One opponent has already slapped a clown filter over Noelle's face in the preview window. Noelle looks at it and almost drops her phone. That is the real assault. The score is just a knife handle. Molly Nash reads the payroll insult and calls it incredibly rude. Payroll would at least give them chairs. She crosses the street holding 2 bags of snacks, looking entirely done with corporate games. Dylan asks if she is here to help or heckle. Molly smirks, calling herself multifaceted trauma. Noelle lets out a tiny laugh. Nervous but genuine, fear that can still laugh, can still fight. Jade turns to Dylan, pointing out that declining makes them look terrified, but accepting means their rookies get. They'll be slaughtered in public, someone warned. Then we accept them all, Dylan replied. A creator whispered all. Dylan looked across the street at Mavencast's windows. They were packed with faces pretending not to watch. Craig wanted Freefall's debut to be a public beating. Too bad, he thought humiliation only worked one way. Only flowed in one direction. Go live from the lobby, Dylan ordered. Let them see that the chairs haven't arrived. Jade's eyes sharpened. That makes us look smaller, Dylan countered. But when they lose to a company with no chairs, they will carry that defeat forever. A rookie near the back lowered her phone. I cannot do this, she said. If Mavencast makes me pin that apology, I am done. The room waited for Dylan to bully her. Craig definitely would have. Open the payout app, Dylan told her, then leave. Your signing bonus clears. We do not own your panic. Her phone buzzed. She stared at the deposit, then at the clown filter. No, she said, her voice small but angry. If they wanted me scared, they shouldn't have shown me. The filter, that tiny choice, hit the room harder than any speech. Jade looked at Dylan, mixed with approval and annoyance. Did you pay her to stay? No, Dylan replied. I paid her, so staying actually meant something. Fear converted to choice. A $95,000 dividend issued, Molly pointed snack bag at Dylan. That is petty enough to be strategy and weirdly ethical. So they went live, 6 rookies, 6 phones, and Jade on center camera. Molly handled commentary. Noelle's split screen opened first, her opponent smiling under studio lighting with the cheap confidence people rent by the hour. Noelle, right. Cute setup. Are you streaming from a leasing office? Noelle swallowed hard. The chat laughed. Mavencast's score jumped immediately as gifts began stacking. It was like someone opened a rich faucet. Noelle's side barely budged. She looked at Jade. Jade looked at Dylan, but he shook his head. Spending too early would just look like buying pity. Let the villains enjoy. Microphone first. The Mavencast creator lined in closer to her. Camera, maybe your boss should buy chairs before buying dreams. Noelle's eyes flashed. Molly's smile died as the chat reacted. Dylan still held back. Another rookie fell behind by 30,000 points. A third screen froze completely. From a shaking hand, Jade whispered Dylan, "Let Craig's people laugh a little longer. Rockets hit harder after arrogance gets comfortable." But then the lights blinked, the lobby screens went completely black, feed after feed dropped. Mavencast's side erupted in victory as Free Fall's internet cut out. The startup folded. Did Dylan forget internet costs money? Jade grabbed her tablet, confirming the uplink was gone. Molly rushed over to the window. Across the street, the rivals laughed openly. Suddenly, Jade's phone buzzed. An old contact texted. Her face went flat. Craig's crew was nearby. At the building panel 10 minutes ago, not a lawsuit but a cut wire. Then Craig called. Jade put him on speaker without asking Dylan first. Dylan actually liked that growing habit. Forfeit the rookie matches, Craig demanded. Send Jade back to finish her sponsor obligations. I'll call this technical mistake instead of a public collapse. Noelle stared at the phone. Like it had teeth, Craig. Dylan said. You cut the wire and still sound out of breath. That is embarrassing. You cannot win without the platform feed. He looked at the glass front, the sidewalk, and the Mavencast windows crowded with his employees. Then watch us win with Windows. He ended the call. Craig had tried to kill the stream, so he gave him a better camera angle. Everyone to the glass lobby stage, phones on cellular, ring lights facing out. If the studio is dead, the street becomes the studio. Molly clapped once. Oh, that is disgusting. I love it. Ring lights went against the front windows. Creators sat on boxes, the folding table, the floor, anywhere the camera could catch. Mavencast building behind them like a guilty witness. Jade put Noelle in the center. Noelle's hands shook. He crouched beside her so only she could hear. They picked you because you looked easy. Wanna make that their mistake? She nodded, eyes wet. Then say one true sentence when we go back live. Tell them where you are. 6 Free Fall streams resumed at once. Framed by the glass wall in the Mavencast building behind them, Noelle looked into her phone and said, voice shaking but clear, Mavencast cut our studio uplink, so we moved to the front window. If they want to watch us lose, they can do it from across the street. The chat froze for half a breath, then exploded. People on the sidewalk stopped walking. Someone pointed at Mavencast, then at their phones. The Mavencast creator on Noelle's split screen lost her smile. Craig's sabotage had become their advertisement. Causal disruption converted. Public stage upgraded. Matching dividend unlocked. Now he opened Halo stream donor mode. He did not start with Noelle. He started with the quietest rookie, the one Mavencast had ignored while crushing the loud ones. 10 rockets. Her score jumped. The Mavencast creator on her screen stopped mid-laugh. 20 to the next rookie, 30 to the third, then Noelle. He sent rockets until her score climbed past pity, past respectability, past comeback, and into insult. The sidewalk crowd started chanting her name because crowds love comeback and free humiliation. Her opponent tried to smile through it. Big donor bailout cute. He sent another wave. The score doubled. Molly shouted into her commentary live, a bailout is when rich people save failures. This is an invoice for arrogance. Noelle laughed on camera. That laugh did more for her followers than any makeup team could. 800 became 3,000, 3,000 became 12,000. Then the other Free Fall feeds caught fire. Jade moved behind every camera, fixing angles, steadying hands, feeding lines. That was why the buyout mattered. She made panicking people usable. Craig appeared behind Mavencast's glass. Even from across the road, he had stopped pretending this was funny. His phone kept pulsing between rocket purchases, company defense. Recognized, rookie loyalty seed detected. One by one, the PK timers ran out. Free Fall won the first. The lobby screamed. Free Fall won the second. Mavencast employee slammed a blind shut. Free Fall won the third. Molly started crying and laughing at the same time, which made her look insane and extremely shareable. Then Noelle's timer hit 0. She had tripled her opponent. For 1 second, she just stared. Then the follower counter rolled past 50,000. Jade grabbed her shoulders and turned her back toward the phone. Look, do not miss your own win. The chat filled with her name. Then that clown filter returned, but not on Noelle. Viewers had already clipped Mavencast's preview and reposted it under the opponent's own stream with the caption, wrong face. The opponent desperately tried to end her stream early, but the Halo platform would not let her. The penalty terms she had sent to Noelle remained stuck on the challenge page, while the chat demanded to know if Mavencast would pin their own apology. Noelle read the chat and laughed so hard she covered her Microphone, that laugh became the clip. Not the rockets, not his money, just her. Laugh, talk about ultimate satisfaction. That humiliation had completely changed owners. Mass PK. Defense completed. Dividend issued. $4.8 million. Main payoff delivered, and now it was time to make things worse. Noel looked at the payout dashboard on Jade's tablet and flinched, asking how much of the gifts they kept. That question told him everything Maven Cast had taught her, their contract. Dictated the split, he said, so it hits now. He approved the payouts, Noel's. Phone buzzed, then another rookie's phone, then all six. Noel looked at the deposit and started crying for real. Molly leaned into her live stream, saying that for any Maven Cast spectators, this was called paying. Creators, she told them to sound it out. The chat went completely wild. Across the street, two Maven Cast creators appeared at their lobby doors like prisoners. Looking at a hole in the fence, one crossed over, her ring light still tucked under one arm. A handler shouted from the sidewalk that she was still under contract. She looked back, telling them to make Craig pay her like one. Give her water, he said. Then give her the fair contract page. Enemy talent destabilized. Recruitment. Wave opened. Craig stormed out 30 seconds later alongside two executives. One pointed toward Freefall's lobby. The other whispered something that made Craig's face go pale, then bright red. An insider leak hit Molly's phone a minute later. A shaky clip from inside Maven Cast played, an executive's voice snapping that they lost. Jade failed to crush the startup and basically gave them a recruitment commercial. He demanded to know what part was strategy. Molly played it once. The rookies cheered as if the executive had joined. Freefall, for one brief perfect second, both offices stared at each other through the street. Then he typed out a post from Freefall's new account. If Maven Cast keeps losing to folding tables, they should stop challenging furniture. Jade read it over his shoulder. Childish, she said, but post it. She posted it. The comments flooded in, blurring the screen. Not brand safe, but far better. Maven Cast wanted a clean execution. They got a public street show, a defection, a leaked scolding, and a startup with zero chairs, but all the momentum. Public perception shift confirmed. Dividend issued. $380,000. The delivery truck arrived 20 minutes after the war ended. Two movers rolled chairs into a lobby packed with creators laughing, crying, and refreshing. Follower counts like gamblers after a miracle. One mover looked around. Big opening day. Noelle wiped her face, murmuring apparently. It was the biggest laugh of the afternoon. Jade stepped beside him as the first chairs came in, warning that Craig would not stop. He was bad at this, but she noted he only failed online. She looked out at the street. When men like Craig lose in public, they find rooms where the audience already hates you. He did not answer quickly because his phone had a sudden buzz on. Dylan's phone wasn't his stream, a message from an old contact. Marissa Blythe texted him. Apparently, everyone was suddenly talking about Dylan again. Their class reunion was this weekend at Summit Tower Hotel. She invited him. To Dylan, the word nice smelled foul coming from these people. They remembered him as poor. Marissa attached a screenshot of their group chat. His former classmates were laughing, mocking whether Jade had sponsored him, rented him, or simply adopted him for charity. One chat urged to invite him so he could bring his cheap box. Dylan stared at the worn-out cardboard. Still useful, still ugly, still his. Molly read the chat and winced. She noted his classmates had serious issues. Jade flatly warned him against going. But Noelle, riding high from her win, suggested he go and stream it live. They all stared. She shrugged, saying she learned from today. Their corporate rivals couldn't defeat them online, so this fresh trap had arrived. Wrapped in fake nostalgia and a luxury hotel reservation, Dylan typed back, saying he wouldn't miss it for the world. The system slept because the hook was set. Dylan figured destroying Maven Cast online would keep them quiet. Instead, they just needed a public room filled with malicious witnesses. Marissa's text arrived 5 minutes after Free Fall crushed Maven Cast from a lobby. By breakfast, his old classmates had turned completely toxic. They made it an unofficial charity event, acting like absolute cowards. They flooded the group chat with cruel jokes about Dylan's cardboard box, Jade's expensive car, and whether Free Fall hired him as their mascot. Someone even posted a poll calling him a fraud. Marissa left a heart. Then she texted him directly, telling him to ignore them because they were curious. She claimed she really wanted to see him. That was Marissa's special gift. She could throw gasoline with one hand and offer a napkin with the other. Jade read it and warned him to stay home. Molly suggested bringing emotional explosives instead. Now at the luxury hotel, a woman who treated him like dirt was playing the generous saint. Dylan decided to give her exactly what she wanted. He replied, "Tell them to save a premium seat." Still, the system was quiet. The quiet bothered him. When Saturday arrived, Jade drove Dylan to the tower. They argued the whole way. Jade demanded to come inside with him. Dylan refused, saying they already thought she sponsored him. Jade glared at him. She pointed out that he wanted them overconfident and comfortable, which was worse. He smiled, wearing his sharp black suit and carrying that same cardboard box from Maven Cast. Jade stared at the worn box through the car window. She warned him a box wasn't a personality. Dylan told her to show respect. A valet saw his high-end suit and cheap box, completely failing to process it. Cameras flashed near the doors. The old classmates had sent out lookouts. Inside, the private floor smelled like luxury carpet and toxic, cheap jealousy. The first classmate Dylan recognized ignored his greeting entirely, opting instead to aim his phone to snap the box, whispering that he actually brought it. The room chuckled. Marissa crossed the floor before the mockery grew louder. She looked completely polished, wearing that fake concern people use to look kind. She touched his arm gently, softly welcoming Dylan with practiced warmth. Marissa tells him she is glad he came, while a phone rises up behind her. Dylan asks if they are streaming the hug or if that is a separate package. Her hand drops. Marissa's smile barely holds. Everyone is just excited because he disappeared, she claims. Everyone is hearing wild rumors now, but Dylan did not disappear. He just went broke quietly. Nobody subscribes to being poor. Nearby, a few classmates by the food stop laughing. Then Carter Hawthorne enters like the whole room owes him the spotlight. Marissa's fiancé wears a ridiculously massive watch. He kisses her temple without even looking at Dylan. Then his eyes lock onto him. "Well, look at that," Dylan Ward, the surprise guest. Carter mentions Marissa told him Dylan used to help everyone finish their school assignments. She remembers that free labor fondly. Carter's smile cools, saying tonight should be real fun. That is when Dylan notices a tablet set up near the main table, showing live comments. It is a donation pool for a pity party, not a bill split. A classmate stands beside it. Acting like a charity host, he announces they are covering Dylan's share tonight. Nobody should feel embarrassed about just being successful in spirit. Talk about a backhanded compliment, but somehow, the whole room actually starts to applaud. The room applauds while comments fill with laughing reactions. A classmate shoves the tablet right in Dylan's face. Small donations pair with cheap insults. $5 if Jade drove him. $10 if he opens his box, and $20 if he thanks them for buying him real food. So Dylan sets his box on the table. The crowd laughs before he even touches the tape. Good, Dylan slides it open and pulls out the human resources copy of his termination form. Craig tried to hide this. He fired Dylan while his mother's hospital bill was due. "This is what $20 buys you guys tonight," he says, the before picture. The host's grin twitches. Chat slows down because the joke now has proof. Dylan looks at the pool total, $93, the exact price of their cheap superiority. Dylan tells them to keep it open. He wants to see just how cheap this room is. Carter laughs out loud, assuming this is just some broke guy's desperate joke. But careful, Summit Tower charges more for their napkins than Dylan's entire box is worth. Marissa looks at him with a look of practiced sadness. She claims she told them not to do that, before or after they set up the camera. Her smile twitches. Carter steps in, telling Dylan not to make their charity awkward. Charity is always awkward when the recipient never actually applied. Over by the bar, a classmate yells for him to relax. They claim everyone knows Maven Cast did not pay severance. Another mocks Jade's hourly pay. The old Dylan would have looked for an exit. The current him looks for the manager. But not yet, let them build their stage first. Dinner has assigned seating anyway. Naturally, Dylan's name card sits at the far end, right beside the camera tripod. Beside the donation tablet, Marissa frowns prettily, acting completely clueless. Nobody answers. Carter laughs, calling it the best angle for the stream. A classmate tosses a folded dollar bill beside his plate, donating to the pool. No hard feelings, they say. Dylan quietly slides the dollar into his jacket. He loves collecting evidence of small ambition. Suddenly, Carter raises a toast to old friends. Cheers to everyone finding their path, even those with fake influencer rumors and cardboard boxes. The room laughs harder while Marissa gently touches his sleeve. Her voice whispers Carter's name, but her eyes tell him not to stop just yet. Halfway through the overcooked steak, a classmate violently bumps Dylan's chair. Sloshing wine right across Dylan's cuff, Marissa reacts first, pulling a white handkerchief from her clutch to dab Dylan's sleeve before he can even move. She loudly apologizes and begs to help Dylan, and of course, the cameras catch everything. Carter just smiles into his wine. Dylan takes the handkerchief, wipes his cuff once, and sets it down, warning Marissa her fiancé might mistake kindness for flirting. Especially when a man gets rich this fast. Carter's smile vanishes. The table goes quiet as Marissa blushes deeply, which makes 3 recording phones tilt even closer. Then the hotel manager arrives with the bill. The trap is finally sprung. The manager mentions there is some confusion over the bill. The room minimum is not met, and several expensive premium items were added. With open approval, Carter spreads his hands, claiming they agreed. The group covers most of it, leaving Dylan's share to a pity pool. He says pool like it is pure mercy. The manager looks at the tablet, then stares at Dylan. The live stream has listed Mr. Ward as the beneficiary. They did not just mock him, they made his humiliation the payment method. Marissa whispers she can handle Dylan's part, but Carter snaps. Absolutely not. He says Dylan is a grown man, mockingly asking if Jade's money is not enough for dinner. Now watch. The entire room holds its breath, hoping his card fails. Stands and picks up the folder. $46,000. Ugly but not impressive. Their cruelty is ambitious, but their math is incredibly petty. Dylan looks at the manager and asks what this whole floor costs for the night. The manager blinks. Dylan demands private control, tipped staff, and a cut stream. Moving every other table downstairs, he asks what price makes this room strictly his. The manager looks at Carter, who just smiles, saying Summit Tower does not sell its reputation. The manager gulps, calculating a full floor buyout. Food, beverage, and tips at $250,000. The room explodes. A classmate yells out that there is no way. Carter laughs, telling them to run it just to watch Dylan fail. Dylan places his black card on the folder. Processing takes 4 seconds, long enough for everyone who dropped pity dollars into that charity pool to regret it. The screen says approved. The manager stares in shock at the screen. Dylan tells him to read it louder for the whole room. His voice cracks, announcing the floor buyout is approved. The table goes dead. The manager removes the payment pool tablet from its stand, instantly cutting the feed. The last visible comment asks if the charity guy just bought the entire room. Beautiful. The pity trap is officially rejected. Dividend issued $310,000, Dylan tells the manager to remove them, keeping the staff for hazard pay. A waitress covers a smile with her tray. Carter stands up, furious, saying he cannot remove his guests. Dylan replies that buying the room lets him do exactly that. Carter demands they charge his Hawthorne account to match the payment. The manager freezes like he was just handed a grenade. The family name matters more than the man, but then a sharp woman's voice commands Carter to stop. Opal Hawthorne walks in from the hallway with 2 hotel staff right behind her. No dramatic entrance, no shouting, just absolute control, wearing a long black coat. Her face shifted so quickly, it answered half the room's questions. Opal spoke up. Their family office received a sudden request to authorize $250,000 tantrum at Summit Tower. She only came down because she assumed someone had stolen the card. She glanced at Dylan, then the cardboard box. Then back with recognition. Nobody else understood, addressing him as Mr. Ward. Baycrest Estates flagged his owner profile after his recent big promotion. She apologized for her brother treating a neighbor like a cheap audition. Hearing the name Baycrest Estates did what Dylan's suit never could. It gave his money and address. Marissa whispered the legendary name. Opal turned to the manager, ordering him to clear the floor immediately, quietly if they cooperate or publicly if they refuse. That was the exact moment Carter folded. Not out of humility, Opal had stripped away his family name. He looked at Marissa like she was suddenly too expensive for him. He declared they were leaving, ignoring her pleas to wait. He pulled his arm back, not violently but with pure embarrassment, reminding her she called Dylan some charity crush. He spoke quietly, but the silent room caught every word. He hissed that she never mentioned Dylan was connected to Baycrest Estates. Marissa's face fell, swearing she didn't know, prompting Dylan to let out a cold laugh. It was perfect. That was her entire problem. She never knew until someone wealthier told her where to look. Teary-eyed, she watched Carter storm out first, with half the reunion following close behind. unable to face the man who now owned the room. Owned security escorted the rest out, leaving only Opal behind, refusing to sit. Smart move, she admitted Carter had ruined their family name, refusing to pretend otherwise. Dylan agreed, pretending was too crowded tonight anyway. Her mouth twitched as she offered assistance at Bakerest Estates. Dylan just stared at her long enough to make her feel thoroughly examined, stating he didn't kneel for elite family names. Opal admitted she noticed, which was why she spoke so carefully. Dylan let her leave. Marissa lingered until the room cleared out, pretending to return for her lost handkerchief only to ignore it. She pleaded with Dylan, claiming she had no idea Carter would behave that way. He fired back. She knew, she just hoped it benefited her. Marissa flinched, desperately claiming she was only trying to protect him from the others. Dylan coldly noted she just positioned him near the camera. Dumbfounded, she watched his phone. Right on cue, his phone buzzed. The regret index was officially unlocked. Target recognized Marissa Blythe. Visible regret 87%. The system was paying out for refusal, spending, and public collapse. Now it measured the very specific brand of regret hidden behind soft voices. Marissa noticed the screen glowing against his face, asking what it was. Dylan locked it, calling it a receipt. She swallowed, begging for privacy. This was her backup voice now that her rich fiancé was gone. The old poor boy had suddenly become her escape. Dylan held out the white handkerchief, saying she forgot it. She refused to take it, whispering for him to keep it so they had a reason to meet again. Regret index pulsed through the fabric. Marissa Blythe, 91% strength. Allocation pending. That parting line wasn't romantic at all. It was a cold warning. Social humiliation had just made Dylan rich, but it also made jealous. Men stare at him like a problem they wanted to solve with violence. By midnight, the reunion video had split into two viral versions online. In one, Dylan was. One called him a fraud with a rented card. The other, a hidden whale buying out rooms. Just to punish pity, both rumors traveled faster than truth and beyond the hotel. Some dangerous men who cared less about money and far more about raw muscle started watching him. The regret index did not let him enjoy his reunion victory. By warning, Marissa Blythe sat at 91%. The system added one ugly line under her name: strength allocation pending at completion. That was no encouragement. That was the system telling him money started fights his old body could not finish. Jade saw the screen before he locked it. Please tell me that does not mean what I think it means. I do not know, he replied. She sighed. You always say that. Right before something explodes, Molly leaned over the folding table, joking it might be a gym coupon from hell. Then Scarlett Vega called. No text first. That meant she was angry, terrified, or completely out of ways to make the situation look intentional. 4. Once her voice lacked any polish. Dylan, do you know Meredith Bloom? Jade's expression shifted. She was a wealthy, ruthless sponsor. Why? Scarlett's breath hit the phone because Lance of Terror just told her I was stalking him in Summit Tower Lounge right in front of everyone. Scarlett sounded like she was desperately trying not to cry where cameras could see. Put the phone in your pocket, he said, and do not hang up. Jade grabbed her coat. This is not your problem, she warned, but Scarlett became his problem at Glass House Club. That sounded pretty mean. It was, he said, but he was still going. The Summit Tower Lounge was already filming itself when they arrived. Lance Otero stood near the bar in a cream jacket, wearing a smirk and fake confusion. Meredith Bloom sat at the center table with the absolute calm of a woman who made money by letting other people sweat first. Scarlett stood between them with wine on her sleeve and pure rage in her eyes. Lance pointed at her phone, claiming she clipped private messages and twisted them. He claimed he was helping her after Maven Cast imploded, so she got attached. Scarlett snapped back. You asked me to route your gifts through my page so Meredith would not see. Lance just laughed. Listen to her, she thinks every single donor is a boyfriend. People who hated Scarlett at Glass House Club thoroughly enjoyed seeing her small. Then he pushed further, because guys like Lance never stop it enough. He snatched her phone with 2 fingers, apologized to Meredith on camera. He sneered, and maybe I will not tell every creator page you tried to blackmail me. Scarlett reached, but he raised it over his shoulder. Someone started recording vertically, the universal sign that shame is about to become content. Meredith did not stop him, just watched Scarlett over the rim of her glass. For one ugly second, he feared Scarlett might actually apologize for being used. He hated that. Lance was using a wealthy woman as a shield while blaming the very person he used. Dylan stepped into the circle. Lance Saw him and smirked. Oh, perfect, the guy with the box. Did she call you for rescue content? Scarlett flushed, protesting. I did not ask him to. You called, he countered, so do not get brave retroactively. Her mouth shut. Meredith looked him over. And who are you? The man who watched Lance use 3 different accounts to tip Scarlett at Glass House Club while pretending he was not with you. Lance's smirk instantly hardened. Careful, he warned. He stepped close enough to make security pay attention. You have no proof. He looked at Scarlett. Open your. She pulled up the donor log. Her hands shook, but she did it. No investigation, no folders. One public screen, 3 accounts, same card ending, same messages Lance had stupidly signed. Stupidly signed with inside jokes. Meredith spotted that card number ending instantly. Lance reached for the phone, but Dylan caught his wrist. The room remembered Glass House Club. Lance did too. He tried to twist free and failed as Dylan grabbed his wine glass from his other hand, pouring the red liquid directly into his expensive cream jacket pocket. The lounge gasped. Lance sputtered, asking if Dylan was completely insane. Dylan just smiled, saying he hated wasted props. Meredith stood up. Lance turned to her fast, begging Meredith and claiming Scarlett set him up to steal free fall. Meredith raised one hand. He went completely silent, like she had pulled his plug. She took the sponsor card right off the table. His face collapsed instantly. She looked at Scarlett, saying she chose a pathetic man who was pathetic with her money. Scarlett replied that the difference mattered. Then Meredith looked straight at Dylan, asking who trained him, not the reaction he expected. He said nobody did. Her eyes moved to Lance's wrist, still caught in Dylan's grip. Start, she told him, because men like him seek backup. After losing, suddenly, the system declared the public blame reversal accepted. Regret route opened. Dividend issued. $120,000. Scarlett saw the system glow and looked away in shame. Lance tried one desperate swing. The moment Dylan released him, it was not a real punch, just a rich boy flinch. Dylan stepped aside easily. Lance hit the edge of the bar with his own knuckles and yelped. The entire lounge burst into laughter. Talk about an absolute public execution. That ruined his. Meredith walked out without him. Security stepped right into his path when he tried to follow. Scarlett stood there, staring at her wine-stained sleeve. With a face full of complicated things she hated owing Dylan. She thanked him, but Dylan warned her not to make it romantic. Her eyes flashed. Anger suited her better than helplessness. She snapped that she was not testing if gratitude could buy her leverage. It cannot. She lifted her chin, asking what it could become instead. Work, he said. Earn your audition. No traps, no pity, and no more Lance drama. She nodded once, sharp and humiliated. It was not redemption, just a door. Before they left, the video of Lance's failure went viral online. Someone at Iron Hour Fitness even reposted the clip, with a caption saying money bought him a rescue, but muscle will not. Asking who trains you. By noon, Dylan stood right under the answer. Dane Kroll owned the place, wearing his authority like a tight-fitted shirt. Massive black metal letters, glass walls, and a leaderboard screen showing member rankings. Like some holy temple for bodybuilders, Gia Novik was sitting at the front desk. Talk about a complication. His old crush was now the gym owner's girlfriend. She once smiled at him like he was completely harmless simply because he was poor. To be dangerous, Gia said his name and he smiled. Her eyes went straight to his custom suit, his black card, and the Summit Tower video playing on the lobby screen. Gia remarked he looked different, mentioning money has tailoring privileges. She laughed before she could stop herself. Just then, Dane Kroll stepped out of the training room and placed a hand on the desk, looking massive, built like the gym literally paid him in mirrors. He sneered, asking if Dylan came to buy the bench press too. Other members turned and Gia's smile faded. On the screen, someone shared the video of Dylan buying out the floor right next to Lance yelping at the bar. A single question sat under both clips: can money buy muscle too? The next room already decided how to test Dylan when he told them he wanted a membership. Dane looked at his shoulders and almost laughed, warning they do not refund after embarrassment. Good, because Dylan was not there to return anything. A trainer stepped up, offering a VIP scan. It measures strength profiles and training tiers. Standard scans are usually private, but VIP goes public. Dane quickly answered for him, demanding they make it public. Since Dylan bought a hotel floor, he can survive numbers. Dylan glanced over at Gia. She looked embarrassed for the gym, meaning Dane had overplayed his hand in front of her. He wanted to impress her, so Dylan decided to make this choice expensive. Public. Dylan agreed, and if it says he is weak, he will buy everyone here a month. of premium training so they can feel superior with invoices. The staff stopped smiling. Rich clients are always funny until they start threatening your commissions. Now the scan had stakes for Dane too. If Dylan failed, Dane got his clip. But if he passed, Dane's gym just laughed at the wrong customer. The system pulsed once before Dylan stepped onto the scanner. Strength allocation was available, temporary boost permitted, no training montage, just a choice. He accepted. The scanner hummed as the lobby screen shifted. It displayed his profile, Dylan Ward, new VIP assessment, height and weight loaded first. Then the machine tried to calculate his strength class, but it completely froze. A red line blinked under his name, frame mismatch, output invalid. Dane laughed. Dane mocked him, asking where the rest of him went. Then the grip results loaded, and the trainer's face completely changed. Showed elite heavyweight range. The lobby reacted in pieces, first the trainer. Then Gia, then the members who had just laughed. Dane stopped smiling entirely. He walked to the bench rack, muttering that grip toys glitch but iron does not. Good, he found the next stage. Dylan asked what number would make him stop talking. Dane loaded plates with performance anger. The trainer warned him it was 440 pounds. He warned that was unsafe, but Dane spat back that premium gets honesty. Gia stepped forward, telling Dane to stop using Dylan for content. He looked at her hand on Dylan's side of the bench and smiled too tightly. He claimed he was just helping her old friend prove he is real, pure jealousy. Meredith Bloom walked in during the loading. Of course she did. Dane's mouth tightened. The room had gained a much richer witness than Dane could ever control. Meredith looked at the bar, then at Dylan, saying this looked like a lawsuit instead. Same industry, Dylan replied. Gia laughed again, and Dane definitely heard it. That mattered more than the weight. Dylan lay under the bar while the trainer hovered. The trainer offered to spot, warning not to help if it moved. Dane leaned over him. Dane whispered he could still walk away, but Dylan gripped the bar, telling him you first. The liftoff was heavy enough to make the room completely honest. Nobody mocked anything. Dylan lowered the weight to his chest and pressed it back up. Clean, no shake. No scream, just iron moving because he commanded it. The trainer shouted to rack it. Dylan racked it. The bench area exploded as phones lifted. Members rushed the leaderboard. The trainer slapped the rack like it insulted physics. Meredith called it interesting, which rich people use when they mean expensive. Gia covered her mouth in shock. Dane stared at the barbell like it had personally cheated on him. The lobby screen updated. Dylan Ward's strength output top 1%. Then it flickered. Frame mismatch unresolved. Physical proof accepted. Public comparison converted. Dividend issued. 690,000. Dane forced a laugh. Just one lift. Cute. Gia turned to him, but Dane grabbed her wrist before she could step toward Dylan. Not hard enough for police, but hard enough for everyone who knew the difference. Dylan sat up. Gia looked at his hand, then at him. Let go, she said. Dane released her like he had meant to all along. Too late. Meredith watched it. The trainer watched it. Half the gym watched it. Gia walked right over to Dylan instead of him, asking for his number. The gym went quiet in the most childish, satisfying way possible. Dane's face drained of color. Dylan gave it to her, not because he was chasing her, but because Dane had grabbed her wrist in public and expected the room to call it love. She saved the contact, saying softly that she might need advice about leaving. Something that looked better from the outside. Leashes again, different material, same cheap engineering. Dane clapped once too loud. Great show. Dylan Ward buys rooms, creators, and strength clips. What is next? Dane sneered. Buying a rescue scene. That phrase sat weirdly in the air. Rescue scene. He had heard a version of it before, but memory failed him. The exact shape of it yet. Meredith told the trainer to send her premium packages, specifically through whoever does not laugh at customers before the scan. The trainer looked at Dylan like he had changed his commission bracket. That was when jealousy turned from funny to useful, and from useful to dangerous. Dane could not beat the card nor the lift, so when Dylan saw him outside later talking to 3 men near the parking lot, he figured Dane was saving face. He had no idea why that little meeting bothered him until one of those men repeated a line he had heard before. Dane Kroll let him leave iron. With Gia Novik's number in his phone and the gym whispering about the leaderboard glitch, Dane smiled from his office window like he had accepted the loss. Men like Dane do not accept losses, they just file them under later. Before later arrived, Marissa Blythe tried to act soft again, claiming she still had the handkerchief from Summit Tower and asking to return it privately. She did not Have it, Dylan did. That was the first lie. Jade saw the message and warned him not to meet her. Molly, eating cereal from a coffee mug, suggested meeting in broad daylight. With witnesses and emotional bug spray, Noelle said if she says closure, run. Freefall had become a company of traumatized little prophets. Dylan chose a cafe across from their lobby windows, close enough that Jade could glare. Through glass, Marissa arrived dressed like a second chance, soft sweater. Careful hair, no Carter, and no ring on the hand holding her purse. She placed a small envelope on the table. He cleaned it. The envelope was empty. The real handkerchief was in his jacket pockets. He did not open it, and that bothered her. She apologized for Summit Tower, claiming Carter had made everything so ugly. Carter simply said the quiet part about who built the room. Her lips pressed together. He placed the real handkerchief on the table between them. Her eyes dropped to it. That second lie dies quietly. Dylan tells her she brought an empty envelope. Her face flushes red. Marissa admits she just needed any reason to see him. Dylan reminds her she humiliated him in public and just wanted a second chance. Marissa leans forward, claiming she was just so scared back then. She begs him to understand how it looked. He had no real direction. Carter had stability, but that was her mistake, thinking security was everything. She thought Dylan wanted to compete with her ex. Dylan asks what Carter has now. Her eyes dart away as she lies that they are just taking some space. Dylan fires back. Carter dumped her in a cheap room because abandonment sounds too poor. The cafe goes dead silent, then her phone starts buzzing. Dylan's phone buzzes too. A classmate posted a photo of them from the street. Marissa sits with Dylan. Carter leaves, and she suddenly remembers her old flame. Talk about terrible timing. Marissa freezes, but not because Dylan caught her. She is exposed to the world. Right then, Carter's name flashes on her phone. Grabbing the phone instantly, she forgets the quiet cafe while his voice echoes. Carter demands she stop hanging out with Dylan because Opal is already asking questions. He tells her not to call until she remembers which side she is on. Carter hangs up, leaving a tense silence while the waiter awkwardly stares at the espresso machine. Marissa stares at her dark screen as if she just got slapped in public. Her regret index hits 96%. She whispers, begging him to help her. She asks him to delete the post, claiming they actually listened to him now. Tearfully, she claims she was only trying to help. Dylan shut her down instantly. She wanted to look kind while keeping him beneath her. Then, Carter left her. Suddenly, her kindness needs privacy. She reaches across the table, calling out his name. She insists she cared, but she just did not know what he would become. There it is, the absolute cleanest confession a social climber could ever give. No regrets, just shock at his success. Dylan slides her handkerchief back to her. He tells her she gets nothing. She doesn't miss him. She misses her investment window. Her hand freezes halfway across the table as his words sink in. The regret index spikes so hard the table practically vibrates. Marissa Blythe. 99%. She looks at the handkerchief, then at Jade outside the window. Marissa whispers that she could have chosen him, trying to sound sweet and regretful. It lands like a late payment. She should have respected him before his success. That was her real choice. Marissa Blythe, 100% regret index achieved. Her first complete target unlocks a passive dividend slot. For once, Dylan stands still. Even he knows when a moment deserves pause. He assigns Marissa Blythe as target. He taps yes, passive slot activated, and the base conversion begins. $1.1 million hits his bank account, his bank app. Updates later, it is concrete and real. Marissa sees his face and panics. Dylan coldly tells her that she finally paid for dinner. She recoils instantly. She backs away as if physically slapped, but he did not need to touch her. Her own choices brought this receipt. Right then, Jade enters the cafe. Jade steps in before Marissa can cry. She stands tall right beside Dylan. She calmly tells Marissa her ride is waiting outside. Jade already ordered a car. The order went through without asking him. Bossy loyalty is still incredibly useful. She glances between them. The slight jealousy on her face triggers another quick system reaction. The regret root stabilizes as she accepts the handkerchief, but this time is different. It is not an excuse to meet him again. It is just a reminder of her losing her chance. Once she leaves, Jade asks him, "Did you get what you wanted?" Dylan replies that he only got what the system wanted. Jade finds no comfort in that. It was never meant to be comforting. Suddenly, Gia calls him out of the blue, voice tense. She begs him to meet outside Iron Hour, warning him that Dane is starting trouble. Dane claims Dylan pulled a scam, saying Gia embarrasses him by even talking to him. Jade silently mouths the word trap. It probably is, but Gia sounds genuinely desperate. She sounds like someone whose safe space just vanished. He goes, but not alone. Jade drives while Molly stays on a live feed to test equipment. The gym looks completely normal, but that is how bad setups usually start. Gia stands by the side entrance, arms crossed tightly, with no gym bag in sight. She thanks him for coming, and when Dylan asks about Dane, she says he is inside. Dylan glances up at the office window. The blinds move. Gia sees it too, looking completely ashamed of him. This is always the final step before leaving. She admits Dane grabbed her again. Not hard, but just to mark his territory, she begs Dylan not to hit him. Dane wants a fight so he can play the hero, calling Dylan dangerous. He claims he is her only safety, but wait, did she say used to be safe? That phrase triggers an old memory, but there is no time. 3 thugs approach. They look like cheap hired muscle trying and failing to act casual. One bumps Dylan's shoulder on purpose, a textbook provocation. Dylan steps back instead of fighting, annoying the thug. The second corners Gia. He tells her to choose better friends. Gia freezes from the window. A shadow moves. Dane is watching. Dylan calmly asks the leader, how much Dane paid them to stage this. The man blinks in confusion. His face twitches. The third guy laughs, same as last time, he says. They just have to make it look real before the hero arrives. Gia freezes. Dylan tells him to repeat that. The thug realizes he spoke too soon. The first man swings. This time Dylan stands ground. The system gave him strength. But power without timing is useless. Dylan catches the wrist easily, twisting it down to force him to his knees. The second thug lunges. Dylan shoves the first into him, sending both crashing into a parked car. The alarm blares. The third man reaches for his jacket. Dylan kicks his knee. It is not broken, but it is brutal. He crashes down, screaming. The gym doors fly open. Members pour out, followed by Dane. He is perfectly on cue. He runs up with his phone recording, fake concern plastered on his face, shouting for Gia. But seeing all 3 thugs already down, the words die in his throat. Gia turns to him slowly, whispering, same as last time. Dane freezes. Dylan grabs the third guy by his collar, lifting him. He tells him to explain himself. The thug just stares at Dane. That silent look says more than any confession. Gia sees it. The trainer sees it. Even Meredith Bloom, arriving for her premium meeting, steps out of the crowd and catches it too. Chaos always loves wealthy witnesses. The third man swallows hard, completely terrified. The thug confessed, just scare her, make him swing, same play as college. Gia's face went completely white. Dylan's did too. Memories of a college parking lot flashed back. Gia crying, Dane arriving right on cue. Dylan stood across the street, broke, useless, watching everyone praise Dane for rescuing Gia from some danger Dane had likely rented. Dylan could never prove it. Not from memory alone, but now he didn't need to. The present spoke loud. The truth came out right in front of her. Dane frantically threw his hands up. Meredith let out a sharp laugh. Is that his defense? The man who just ruined his gym clients also hired thugs to frame him. Another member nearby whispered. By the door suddenly asked if Dylan was the guy from that old story. Gia turned. What old story? The member went pale, looking at Dane. That instant panic told Gia this gym carried a dark rumor she never heard. Dane flatly ordered everyone to shut up. Nobody listened. Meredith told the desk trainer to cancel her meeting. She had no interest in investing in a gym that rented fake villains for cheap romance. Dane visibly flinched. Hurts men like him far faster than any shame ever could. Gia stepped back. He reached for her. Do it on camera, Dylan urged. Please, every phone in the lot tilted toward his hand. Dane froze up, his entire fake hero act completely ruined. Threat reversed, dividend paid, 880,000. His regret-linked strength boost stabilized. Sirens echoed from down the road. Somebody had called after hearing the car alarm. When the arriving officer finally asked who owned the property, and Gia answered before Dane could even speak, pointing right at him. She explained those hired men just admitted Dane paid them to scare her. Dane looked. A Gia-like betrayal only counted when he was the victim. Meredith turned to the crowd, telling everyone who recorded the fight to save their footage. Men like him rely on missing audio. 3 phones lifted higher. Dane watched his own members become hostile witnesses instead of an audience, and his gym stopped feeling like his personal kingdom. Inside, the trainer immediately killed the lobby screen that had replayed his promo clips all week, just one button, for him a massive slap. To his ego, that was the real payoff. The clash was just the loud noise of his fake rescue meeting terrible timing. Gia walked right to Jade's car. Jade unlocked the back door without asking Dylan, another useful habit. Dane watched Gia sit inside. His face did not break, it hardened. He was not finished, but his next move would not be the only new problem he faced. Because while the police lights flashed over the gym doors, Dylan's phone suddenly buzzed with a stream alert tied to Marissa Blythe's profile. That made no sense. Marissa was no creator. She wasn't even worth targeting. Dylan opened the stream. 5 blank donor accounts had tipped her profile in exact intervals, same amount, same timing, one repeated phrase from different accounts. They said she deserved better attention. The donations were not huge. That was what made them far worse. They moved like test taps, like someone checking a rule. The Freedom Dividend System suddenly pulsed once, then did something it had never done before. No rewards, only a warning. External pattern detected. Source unknown. Dylan looked over at the downed thugs, then at Jade's backseat, while Dane desperately pretended not to panic as his old script bled out. Dylan thought Dane's thugs were the final cheap trick he had to deal with, but then things shifted. The donations started moving, according to rules Dylan had not written. The donations on Marissa's profile did not get any bigger. That was exactly what felt wrong, as 5 completely blank accounts tipped her at precise intervals. They sent small amounts with the same timing and phrasing. It felt like someone tapping a locked door to see what lived inside. Marissa ignored it at first, but by the 5th time, she was panicking. She stood in the Free Falls lobby wearing sunglasses indoors, looking like pure regret. She desperately begged Dylan to make it stop, while Molly frowned at her phone. Molly pointed out that these blank accounts were created today with the exact same badge pattern. It was either a cheap bot farm or a cult with terrible branding. Jade looked over, noting the timing was far too clean for Maven Cast's usual bots. Craig's people faked attention terribly. This operation was patient and measured until all 5 accounts tipped again. At the exact same second, the badges flashed in sync. The synchronized burst hit Marissa's profile, causing Noelle's live preview to freeze instantly. Dylan's phone went cold as an unknown external pattern suddenly became active. There was no reward or instruction, just the system acting like something had crossed the line. Marissa stepped toward him, asking if this was about her. He admitted that, unfortunately, almost everything seemed to be about her these days. She stayed terribly afraid. Suddenly, an angry man shoved through the glass door and bumped Marissa hard. Her sunglasses hit the floor as he barked at her to watch where she stood. This cheap theater was familiar to Dylan, and Marissa quickly backed away in fear. She protested that she did not touch him, but he stepped even closer. He sneered that girls like her always expected some rich guy to swoop in and save them. His eyes flicked past her shoulder toward a black car stopping at the curb. A man in a gray coat stepped out, looking incredibly smug and wealthy. Jade immediately recognized him as Rafe Callan, a major donor. He was a private table donor who had been circling Luna for quite some time. Rafe walked in just as the angry stranger raised a hand. Rafe called out for him to stop, his timing feeling far too convenient. The stranger froze like a bad actor, waiting for his next cue. Rafe stepped between them and smugly asked Dylan if he let women get harassed in his lobby. Molly whispered that she already detested this incredibly arrogant man. Rafe smoothly pulled out a money clip, telling the stranger to take the cash and leave. The paid actor looked at the money and made a massive blunder. He complained that Rafe had promised him a much bigger payout if he made the girl scream. The entire lobby went silent as Rafe's calm facade finally slipped. Dylan immediately grabbed the back of the stranger's jacket and pulled him away from Marissa. He did not pull hard enough to be heroic, just enough to look ridiculous. Dylan taunted him to finish his line and commit to the rescue scene they planned. Molly already had her phone up, while Noelle waited with the preview. Dylan gave the signal, broadcasting the lobby live, and Rafe instantly noticed the red recording light. Rafe forced a fake smile, nervously claiming that Dylan seemed highly unstable. He stepped in because she looked terrified. Marissa quickly moved beside him, not behind Rafe but right beside him. Small move, huge damage. I am terrified, she said, voice shaking but clear, because someone keeps sending her fake attention only to send a fake hero to collect it. Rafe stared at her like a broken vending machine. Refused cash, regret-linked target resisted external influence, passive. Root secure, dividend issued, $240,000. He did not check the bank, the room was paying better, the stranger pulled free. Muttering that he was done and Rafe did not pay enough, Molly's chat ate that line whole. Rafe returned the money clip to his coat. You think exposure is victory, he sneered. That is why you stay small. Attention is the only real currency in this industry. Suddenly, every single blank account on Marissa's profile tipped her again. Same. Second, same badge, same phrase. This time the badge flash echoed across 3. Freefall creator feeds, then vanished in a blink. Noel noted that was nada. Normal pledge badge. Rafe looked at her way too fast. A clue, a reaction, a name. Still not enough to call it a system, but enough to know he was no mere donor. With a fancy coat, he recovered by playing generous. Rich men love generosity after their mask slip. He held a slim sponsor card out to Marissa. No logo, just his name stamped in silver, offering to clean this up with front-page placement. A reputation shield and private donor protection. She did not have to be Dylan. Ward's public regret forever. Marissa stared at the card, for one second. The lobby watched as the old, greedy version of her woke up, the version that heard richer and reached out automatically. Then, her eyes drifted to the live chat, where the old classmates of Dylan's circled like vultures with Wi-Fi. Take the gentleman and upgrade again, Marissa. Talk about a brutal reality check right there. She stepped back. No, she said. She already traded self-respect for status once and was not doing a sequel for a man with better packaging. Molly whispered, okay. Annoying growth arc, I see you. Rafe's fingers stayed extended, holding the card nobody took, a small, useful humiliation. Arrogant people always overcorrect. He slid it away and looked at Dylan, accusing him of training them to refuse. No, Dylan replied. He just stands near people who finally recognize a leash. Like before Rafe could answer, Jade's phone screamed with a halo stream. Priority challenge. Luna Arden challenges Scarlet Vega, major PKS rank. Qualifier terms. Scarlet had chosen that exact morning to accept her freefall. Audition. She walked out from the back room in a borrowed blazer, saw Luna's name and went completely still. Scarlet was a wallet tester with a sponsor scandal and a reputation half the platform wanted to spit on. Luna was polished, ranked, and cruel enough to turn pity into jewelry. Rafe smiled again, so the fake rescue was not the whole trap, it was the opener. Luna appeared in the challenge. Preview silver dress, Maven cast logo behind her. Scarlet Vega, freefall is calling you a redemption story. I call that rebranding trash. If you lose, pin an apology saying Dylan Ward buys damaged women and calls it loyalty. Scarlet's face hardened. Jade urged her to decline it, warning this was no audition. Anymore, Scarlet looked at Dylan. No flirting, no smirk. If she declines, does she still get the audition? Smart question. Yes, her shoulders dropped half an inch. She stared hard at the preview of Luna again, stating she accepted because he wants this, not because he has to. Voluntary risk recognized. B rank. Creator audition active. Scarlet saw the word B rank before he locked the screen. B rank earned the alphabet. She laughed once, sharp, ugly, and hit accept. The PK battle opened with Scarlet in their lobby and Luna on a studio throne. Rafe stood near the glass wall, close enough for the screen to catch him, yet far enough to pretend he was not part of it. That lasted 14 seconds. Luna's score jumped. Pledge badges burst across her side in synchronized little storms, not rockets. First badges, same clean pulse, Molly hissed and Jade whispered there again. Dylan, do not spend yet. She was right, if he buried Luna in rockets too early. The story became Dylan buys another woman a win. Scarlet needed pain that belonged to her or the victory would smell like his wallet. Luna smiled to the screen. Scarlet, you used to test men with fake bills. Now you are the bill. The chat laughed. Scarlet's score barely moved. Her hand trembled. Then she looked directly into the camera. Yeah, I was trashy. I set traps. I thought if a man could not afford humiliation, he deserved it. Then I met richer trash and realized I had been copying them. The lobby went quiet. Luna's smile thinned. So no, Scarlet went on, I am not Freefall's redemption story. I am Freefall's warning label. If Maven Cast sends you a stage, check who built the trapdoor. The chat shifted, not enough to win, but enough to stop laughing. That was when Dylan opened donor mode. He sent the first wave of rockets. Her score climbed. Luna answered with a bigger wave from Rafe's top donor badge. The screen flashed his name. Rafe Callan pledged. He wanted everyone to see he could split a room. With his thumb, Dylan let him enjoy one round, then he sent another wave. Scarlet. Caught up, Rafe answered. The badges around Luna flared in that same synchronized burst, then one failed, a tiny thing, one badge blinked red before. It vanished, Rafe's face tightened. Luna noticed, and honestly so did we, the question finally. Had teeth, could he outspend Dylan, or was his attention machine tied to rules he could not say out loud? He bought rockets until Scarlet passed Luna, Rafe pressed his phone harder as if pressure counted. Luna's side surged again, uneven now. His forehead shone. He whispered something into his phone and his face answered for it, panic. Dylan sent the final wave with 10 seconds left. The timer hit 0. Scarlet 1. Molly screamed, Noelle jumped, and Jade let out one breath that sounded like a curse and a prayer fighting. Scarlet looked at the screen. Then at Dylan, he shook his head once. She looked back to the camera. I won because I stopped lying about what I was. Try it sometime. Luna did not rage. That made her more dangerous. She looked past Scarlet, straight at Rafe behind the glass, telling him dominance never hesitates. Rafe's smile was gone, warning Luna not to embarrass herself over one scoreboard. She laughed, not amused but awake. I just watched you sweat over pledge badges. The chat caught that too. Rafe stepped out of the camera angle, but the damage followed him. Rival pressure resisted. Scarlet Vega upgraded. S-rank creator. Candidate dividend issued 1.9 million. Scarlet saw S-rank and put one hand over her mouth. No joke came out. That was how Dylan knew the reward landed. Then she looked at Jade. Candidate means I can still lose it. Yes, Jade says. Scarlet smiled, not the old wallet test smile. Perfect. If it can be lost, it is mine to keep. Rafe watched Freefall celebrate a conditional reward like he had never seen status feel so strong just because it was not guaranteed. He bought attention. Freefall had just made Scarlet demand standards. Then Luna did the thing Craig Hollis should have feared most. She looked into her own live stream and announced her resignation. Molly whispered, Craig is chewing furniture right now. Almost right. Craig called before her live stream even ended. Luna answered on speaker. He told her not to make a career-ending statement because a wallet tester got lucky. If she walked out, she would lose everything from Mavincast. Luna looked into the camera instead of the phone, asking if he meant the bot pushes, the penalty threats, or the donors who sweat when women do not smile back. Rafe's head lifted. Craig snapped that she was under contract. Jade stepped beside Dylan, loud enough for Luna's stream to catch. Tell Craig to send a lawful number, not a tantrum. Mavincast knows the difference now. That hit Craig right where his bio still hurt. Luna ended the call. Then she told her viewers if Mavincast wants to prove she is property, they can do it at the gala with witnesses. The chat instantly froze, then exploded. She sent a message to Freefall's public account. Jade read it aloud. Tomorrow night at the Civic Heritage Gala, if Dylan Ward is a boss, he can prove it where money has consequences. If he is just another donor with a pretty scoreboard, she will know. Scarlet had one. Rafe's mask had cracked. Luna had quit Mavincast, and the next stage had richer lights than Glasshouse Club, sharper knives than Summit Tower, and a woman smart enough not to crawl just because she lost. Luna Arden's gala invitation was not a peace offering, it was a public trap with better lighting. By noon, every creator room on Halo stream was repeating her line, asking if Dylan was a boss and could prove it. Where money had consequences, Craig loved it. Mavincast accounts clipped Luna's challenge with captions about reckless spending, fake charity, and fired employees pretending to be philanthropists. Rafe loved it more. His blank pledge badges stopped hitting Marissa's profile and started appearing under gala posts. Same timing, same synchronized flash, same rule Dylan could see but not name yet. Jade watched those badges stack. He wants this gala to feel like his room before they even enter. Then he should have bought the building. Molly looked up, warning them not to say that near any system. Fair enough. The gala was a ballroom full of polished donors, hospital trustees, creator sponsors, and people who smiled like they knew what forks cost. Dylan walked in with Jade on his left and Scarlet on his right. Molly and Noelle filmed short clips behind them. Jade had banned surprise live streams around donors with lawyers. At registration, staff member looked at Dylan's name, and a seating coordinator whispered to him. His face twisted into the polite pain of a man about to deliver a deliberate insult. He noted that Mavincast's table requested creator adjacent seating. For Freefall side section, media access lane, creator adjacent, that was gala speak. For visible enough to mock, not close enough to matter, Craig had not even reached Dylan yet and had already tried to seat freefall at the children's table. With better shoes, who authorized this move, Dylan asked. The coordinator glanced toward Craig's table, useful answer, before Dylan could decide whether to buy the entire table. April then stepped out from the Bakerest Estates table, tablet in her hand. Mr. Ward is verified as a Bakerest Estates owner-level executive priority. This profile means owner-level guests sit with principal donors unless they decide otherwise, and Mr. Ward has not done so. The registration staff's mouth snaps shut. A new card prints for the front section. It is the center aisle, directly in line with Opal's table. Craig watches from afar. His fake smile twitches before he can fix it. Rooms like this red weakness. They analyze face muscles for sport. A man behind Craig quietly moves his glass. Glass off Craig's table, a tiny retreat, quite a signal, Scarlett whispers. She leans toward Molly. The creator adjacent got evicted, Molly whispers back. It died doing what it hated, being useful, an old employee he once protected. In a sales office is now his ultimate credibility bridge among this old money. His past kindness pays off, activating a massive status boost. No cash needed, even better. Opal stands near the front. Seeing April speak for him, she lifts her glass just enough to acknowledge him. She chooses not to pretend they are strangers. Carter is not with her. Excellent taste. Then Craig appears in a black suit, wearing a forced smile. He has the bruised dignity of a man losing in rooms he thought he owned. Rafe stands beside him, calm now, with Luna keeping her distance, not beside Rafe. Not beside Craig, that distance matters. Rafe tries to erase it first. He moves in before Dylan can reach them, offering Luna a folded card. He offers private protection to clear her Maven Cast debt tonight. He promises there will be no public mess. Luna looks at the card, then at the stage. No private rooms or payouts. She says if anyone wants her work, they can buy it in front of everyone. She turns away, leaving the card right in his hand. That quiet refusal gets no applause, but man, it completely changes the room. Luna does not want a rescue. She sets her own conditions right now. Craig walks over with two Maven Cast board allies wearing donor badges. He tells Dylan not to turn charity into another cheap stunt. Dylan counters, Craig, you turned using employees into a business model, so do not lecture me. One of the board allies blinks in surprise. Meanwhile, Rafe smiles and says public insults are easy, but real purpose is much harder. Luna does not even look at him. Soon, the first auction lot opens. Dr. Marin Fields stands near the stage as the polished speeches begin. She looks like someone who absolutely hates gala speeches but loves funded beds. Harbor Line had almost moved his mother into overflow care. A corrupt doctor had priced her out, but now that wound is covered in flowers. Rafe raises his paddle first, bidding $200,000. He stares at Luna, making sure the entire room sees where this gift is going. Attention is currency, just like he said. Then Dylan raises his own paddle. Bidding $500,000, Rafe instantly counters. He bids $1 million. Craig whispers loudly to a board ally to watch. He claims Dylan is chasing the woman, not the cause. It is a trap. They want him bidding like a drunk whale, so he requests the microphone. The host freezes. Opal looks highly amused while Craig stares in shock. Craig looks delighted, expecting Dylan to explain himself to death. Bad move. Instead, Dylan turns to Dr. Fields, years ago when his mother almost lost her. The issue was not a single bill, but powerful people deciding poor patients were completely dispensable. Dylan is not bidding on a plaque. He pledges $5 million. For the Ridgefield Community Wing, strictly conditioned on protected bed access, data reporting, and patient transfer oversight. Complete silence falls over the room. Good, they need to realize this bid actually has teeth. Then Dr. Fields speaks up, announcing that Harborline Hospital officially accepts the pledge. That triggers a wave of applause, the kind that makes everyone turn to see who started it. Craig's face sours while his allies stop smiling. Suddenly, Rafe raises his bidding paddle. He bids $6 million, looking at Luna for a reaction. Nothing. Dylan hands the microphone back. $7 million, Dylan counters. Same conditions, no vanity names, just put the donor list in the patient lobby, out of his sight. That statement cuts deeper than another $1 million bid. Opal claps and the Hawthorne table follows. April beams, unable to hide her joy. Rafe raises his paddle but stops. Suddenly, a synchronized notification hits the gala's stream. A series of account alerts flashes across the public broadcast at that exact second. 5 pledge icons pop up, then 10, then 20, all empty accounts bursting to life. External pressure is mounting fast. They have to keep everything public. Rafe's hand visibly trembles. Luna sighs, but he forces himself to lift the paddle anyway. He bids $8 million, keeping his voice smooth even though his eyes betray him. Dylan does not bid 9. He looks at Luna, declaring her turn. The room shifts her eyebrow arches in surprise as she asks if it is indeed her turn. He reminds her she challenged him to prove if he was a boss or a mere donor. Bosses do not buy talent in secret. He dares her to speak. Craig snaps toward her. She cuts Craig off without looking, telling him he lost the right to command her. When he let Rafe sweat through a scoreboard and called it a strategy. Board allies hear that clearly as Luna confidently steps onto the stage. She grabs the microphone, demanding no private payouts, hidden contracts, or personal obligations. If Freefall wants her, she signs strictly as an S-rank creator. With clear performance metrics, independent sponsor reviews, and a public revenue split. If Dylan ever tries to treat her like a trophy, she walks and keeps the footage. Scarlett quietly admits she hates how much she respects Luna. Dylan simply replies that growth hurts. Luna looks down at Dylan from the stage, asking him to get the terms on paper. Jade already has the contract drafted on the gala tablet, ready to go. This is exactly why securing her freedom was worth more than a fleet of rockets. She turns paperwork into a weapon, and instantly the contract terms hit the side screen. Craig mutters this is theft, but Jade flatly denies it. She explains that real theft was forcing creators to apologize for rigged matches. This is just consent with better lighting. Luna signs the tablet with a single swipe. The room reacts, sponsors lean forward while wealthy donors whisper. Craig's board allies exchange glances, trying to figure out who will take the blame. Rafe approaches the stage in a panic, urging Luna to think about her choice. He offers to double the deal privately so she does not join a revenge startup. Luna looks down at him, saying his offer is nothing but a leash drenched in cologne. Scarlett lets out a quiet sound of pure admiration. Meanwhile, Rafe's composure completely breaks. It broke just enough. Luna smiled, warning him his choice was wrong. Without warmth, she told him to stop trying to buy the right one. The badges flashed under the gala tag, but half of them failed red. Rafe stared at his phone, whispering, "Why isn't it counting?" It wasn't loud, but it was enough for Luna, Arlade, and the nearest donor to turn. An external rule conflict was detected, with confirmation pending. Still no name, but the shape was visible. Rafe's money didn't just want to be spent, it wanted her to accept his narrative. Luna flatly refused. Rejecting that story in public cost him deeply. Thankfully, the host quickly recovered. He announced our lead's $7 million pledge and Luna's S-rank freefall. Contract was officially witnessed. The applause hit incredibly hard, meaning Craig could not claim a hacked scoreboard before a room full of donors, a sponsor. Leaned toward Jade, asking if those S-rank terms were standard. They are. And they're becoming standard. The sponsor's assistant noted it as Craig watched. That note was a small cut, bleeding exactly where he needed sealing, the gala. Wasn't asking if our lead had cash, it asked if Freefall's terms were clean enough to repeat. During the applause, Opal walked to his table. She announced that Hawthorne would cover the massive administrative build-out costs of the Ridgefield community wing. No naming rights, just a solid apology. He held her stare, accepting but warning her not to make him regret it. She wouldn't dare, an incredibly useful but dangerous ally. Craig watched them. A wall was building around him. Desperate, Craig marched straight to the stage. He interrupted the host, demanding that if Freefall was clean, they prove it. He challenged them live tomorrow on the championship stage, Mavencast versus Freefall, complete creator slate, public sponsor feeds, and a full contract audit. Molly muttered that Craig spoke of audits as weapons rather than confessions. Craig pointed at him, win, and the fraud accusations would stop. But lose, and every signed creator must admit Freefall was a mere revenge. Stunt built on dirty money. Rafe smiled, but it looked fake and forced. He desperately needed that stage. Luna then stepped down to stand beside Scarlett, ignoring Mavencast. That sight hurt Craig more than any pledge. Behind Craig, his allies were already stepping away, refusing to make eye contact. Craig had completely overcommitted because he believed public pressure was still his weapon. Our lead calmly picked up the microphone and accepted the challenge for tomorrow. He demanded they use the big scoreboard, tired of defeating Mavencast in small rooms. The crowd absolutely loved that bold move. Craig, of course, did not. The final challenge was accepted. No money this time, just sheer high stakes. The auction was settled, Luna was signed, and their enemies were cracking. With Craig's allies slowly abandoning him, he set up his own final downfall. Enough to completely destroy himself on, Craig Hollis called it the Halo Stream. Championship because men like Craig love official words when they plan to cheat. By morning, Maven Cast had turned the match into a public trial. Their teaser accused Freefall of dirty money, fake donations, and creator poaching. Bot manipulation and our lead's personal favorite, emotional fraud, Molly read. That aloud, unable to believe they found a legal term for that. Being hot and annoying, Jade did not laugh, she was focused on the roster. Mavencast had stacked every creator they still had, using every threat in their contracts. They framed it as policy. Craig needed one public win to save his job, while Wraith needed just one woman in the room to accept his money like worship. Both needed freefall. To look fake before the final scores locked, that made the rules simple. They could not just spend money, they had to make everyone choose. The championship stage was a massive arena built for humiliation, with giant scoreboards and split feeds, live chats, and a central camera that made every flinch look like absolute confession. Linda Ward watched from Harbor Line on a tablet, sitting up. Protected care with Paul beside her. That was the only audience that scared Dylan. When she saw the bright stage lights, she touched the screen and wondered aloud if that was where Dylan worked now. Paul texted Dylan the message, who stared at it a second too long. Jade snapped, Dylan, get it together. Feelings later, war now. Craig walked onto the opposite stage with Wraith beside him and a Mavencast board member right behind them, a man who had already chosen his scapegoat. Luna and Scarlet stood with Freefall. Molly, Noelle, Jade, and the rookie stood right behind them. You could practically feel the tension spike as Craig grabbed the first microphone. Tonight is simple. Freefall claims to be fair, but we will see if their creators can actually win without Dylan Ward buying their affection. Wraith stared at Luna when Craig said that word. She never looked back. The first round was Molly, matched against a highly polished creator, while Mavencast replayed her old fake subscriber graph on the screen. Craig thought public shame would force her into silence. Instead, Molly grabbed the microphone and spoke up. Yes, Mavencast padded my numbers, let me thank fake profiles, and then used my embarrassment as content. Tonight, I am not apologizing for being lied to. I am charging them for the clip. The audience laughed first, then they erupted in cheers. The scoreboard opened, and Mavencast's numbers suddenly spiked. Endless bot accounts, identical profile pictures, lifeless comments. Molly pointed right at the screen. Oh look, my old fans came to visit, and none of them learned any punctuation. The chat turned vicious. Dylan spent nothing. Molly's real audience moved on its own. Small gifts, then bigger donations, followed by a wave of ex-Mavencast creators sending support with their real names fully visible. Molly won by less than Jade wanted, but more than Craig could survive. Absolute refusal. Molly rejected fake followers. The crowd rewarded her honesty. The alliance value instantly jumped. Round 2 put Noelle face to face with the rival who had put that clown filter over her face. The filter flashed again during the preview, but Noelle just looked at it and smiled. That terrified her opponent more than tears. Last time I was afraid my parents would see me lose. They did. Then they saw Freefall pay me on time. My dad asked if Mavencast knew how direct deposit works. Even the sponsor chat laughed. Her opponent tried to recover. Opponent sneered, you are only here because Dylan bought you. Noelle raised her phone toward the camera. Dylan offered to pay me if I walked away scared. I stayed after the filter. That is not being bought. That is being given a choice. Mavencast never offered second refusal. Noelle refused the apology script. This time I sent rockets. After her powerful speech moved the room, money followed choice. It did not replace it. Noelle won by a landslide. Then Mavencast tried using a human shield. Right before Scarlet's round, they played Marissa's Summit Tower clip showing the wine dab in that fake soft smile. The host announced that Dylan Ward built Freefall by emotionally targeting humiliated women. Marissa Blythe declined to make an appearance tonight, but they claimed her story spoke for itself. Terrible move. Marissa's story had learned to type. Her verified profile posted right under the live replay while the clip ran, posting, do not use me as proof. I chased status, lost it, and tried to trade back up. Dylan did not target me. I targeted him too late. The entire arena read it in real time. Molly covered her mouth, saying, I hate when character development has timing. The host's smile died on camera. Marissa was not forgiven, but that was not the point. She refused to become Mavincast's victim prop, another old script. Lost its speaker. Round 3 belonged to Scarlett, and Mavincast went straight for the throat. Playing Glass House Club clips, the Lance Lounge disaster, and comments calling her wallet tester, Scarlett watched everything on the big screen, then she stepped forward, admitting every clip is real. As the arena quieted, she continued, I tested men by money because I thought money was the only honest thing in the room. Then Lance used me, Mavincast used me, and I watched Dylan defend me without letting me turn gratitude into another trap. So yes, I was ugly. That is why I know exactly what Mavincast is doing tonight. She looked at Craig, declaring, and I am not doing it for you anymore. Third refusal. Scarlett refused the trap script. Her score climbed before Dylan even touched a button. And Rafe made his move. His pledge badges flooded every female Mavincast feed. A synchronized sweep, the arena screen stuttered under the pattern. Dylan's phone. When ice-cold external system proximity was confirmed, Dylan sent one rocket wave. His badges answered. He sent another. Half of his badges failed red and his hand shook. Scarlett looked straight into the camera, saying, Rafe, if your money needs women to adore you before it works, that sounds less like power and more like begging. With a budget, the arena reacted like she had slapped him. Then Dylan's phone displayed the name External System, identified the Adoration Tycoon System. Conflict rule, purchased attention, rejected by target consent. There it was. No theory, a second system was right there, wearing a rich man's face. He muttered that she was supposed to respond. Rafe snapped, his mic catching the words. Luna turned toward him. Slowly, Craig hissed for Rafe to shut up, but it was too late. Scarlett won the round. While Rafe was still staring at his phone, hoping betrayal could somehow be debugged. Then came Luna. Craig spoke first, a massive mistake. Luna Arden walked away from the company. That made her, claiming tonight she should apologize for letting a revenge spender turn her head. Luna took the mic and smiled, saying, Mavincast made my contract, but I made my audience. Learn the difference before your next company collapses. Rafe stepped forward, offering Luna final offer. I will triple your freefall contract. Tonight with no performance conditions. Just say you chose wrong. Luna looked at him with open disgust, replying, you still think refusal is a negotiation tactic. It is not. It is the door closing. Fourth refusal. Luna refused his purchase. Adoration. Rafe's badge storm collapsed across the board, ending in red failures. Counts frozen, pledges locked. The rival system is destabilized. Rafe staggered back a step. Something inside his own rules had bitten him. He looked at Dylan, all polish gone, asking what he was. Dylan simply smiled, free. A petty line, but true enough. Luna won her round, leaving Jade for last. Craig wanted his original leash to close the show, playing old clips of her. He edited the Mavincast footage to make her look ungrateful before speaking into the microphone. He demanded Jade tell the audience who built her. For a second, Dylan remembered the airport, the conference room, and the pen scratching through her old contract. Then she turned. She faced the audience, declaring Craig built a leash, but she built everything worth watching. While wearing it, her fifth refusal, rejecting the creator lie. The scoreboard opened, and Mavincast dumped everything they had left. Bots, old donors, sponsor boosts, and pressure accounts, the whole dirty engine. For 30 seconds they led. Craig's smile returned too early. It was a massive mistake. Dylan opened donor mode, publicly this time. His name flashed on the board, Dylan Ward. He supports Freefall Media, the public creator fund unlocked. The system poured across his phone. The final title condition was active. Chosen by allies, the dividend multiplier unlocked, revealing an absolutely obscene number. He didn't read it twice. He spent once and the scoreboard jumped. He spent again and Mavincast's lead completely vanished. Then, the creator fund appeared. It showed up on every feed with transparent splits and emergency support. Plus exit protection funded straight from their championship winnings. No romance or obedience. Just a solid structure. Even Mavincast's own creators started asking questions. Why their contracts didn't have these terms. One Mavincast creator on the bench took off her logo jacket, dropping it right onto the floor. Then another followed. Then a sponsor feed cut away from Mavincast, switching to the freefall score. That was the collapse, not one massive explosion, but a dozen small loyalties leaving. All at once, Jade overtook the Mavincast final score with 12 seconds left. Craig stood up, screaming at the board representative at the tech table at absolutely anyone. Rafe frantically tried to send pledges to Luna and Scarlett's feeds. Desperate for anyone to look his way, but every single badge failed. They all flashed red. Luna crossed the stage, lifting Scarlett's hand in victory. Scarlett pulled Molly and Noel forward, and Jade proudly stepped beside them. The camera captured all 5 women, standing beneath the victorious freefall score. While Maven Cast's side flickered with dead badges, the timer hit 0, freefall won. The arena fell silent at first, calculating the shock. Then it completely erupted. Macro promise fulfilled, the system issued its final revenge dividend. Maven Cast authority collapsed. The rival system is officially neutralized. Route completed. The board representative stripped Craig of his badge. Right on camera, Craig desperately grabbed for it like Dr. Kramer once had. Clinging to fake authority, always reaching for a little plastic symbol. After the real power is long gone, Craig muttered that this was temporary. But the board representative declared his authority was terminated, pending formal removal. He spoke into a live mic, ordering him off the stage. Craig Hollis, who once fired Dylan over his mother's hospital bed, was now fired. In front of the company he used like a cage, he looked at Dylan once, but Dylan didn't react. He is petty, not wasteful. Rafe lasted only 1 more minute, staring down at his device. Red error screens stacked up. Suddenly he let out a single hollow, ugly laugh. He muttered that attention always converts. That is the rule, it always converts. Luna stepped right to the edge of the stage, declaring not when the woman says no. And just like that, Rafe's screen went totally black. Talk about instant karma. The Adoration Tycoon system did not explode. It simply stopped answering when he needed it most. He built his entire life on bought attention. But the targeted women refused to become receipts, forcing the system to eat itself. Once the stream ended, consequences hit much faster than any explanation could. During Freefall's public opening, Jade proudly plastered those updates right onto the wall. Sponsors pulled out, creators begged for terms before leaving. Molly's bot scandal became Maven Cast's liability. Scarlett was on an S-rank path, while Luna's contract held strong. Next, Noelle's parents messaged the main account, telling them to pay her on time. They promised to be fans forever. Jade printed and taped it to the coffee machine. It became like scripture. Then Hector's message flashed across the screen. He pointed out that Brandon Gage was completely left off the final road crew list. Brandon watched the community announcement on a job site phone, his face tight. His face went tight while workers pretended not to look. Good. Next was Marissa. Under the championship replay, she admitted she treated poverty like a flaw. She was wrong. No apologies, no fake tears, no excuses. For Marissa, that counted as growth and deep public humiliation at the exact same time. Finally came Gia's photo from outside Iron Hour Fitness. Dane's name had been completely pulled from the promo screen while members watched. She wrote that he no longer gets to be her hero, and honestly, good for her. By then the old cardboard box sat proudly on a quiet, incredibly dusty lobby shelf. Molly wanted a dramatic caption, calling it historic trash. Jade rejected the idea, but quietly approved a much smaller plaque instead. His mother moved slowly after she came through the grand front doors, but she walked. That simple sight mattered more than any scoreboard there. She touched the clear glass wall, asking him if this massive place was truly his. He watched Jade arguing with Luna about the lighting. Molly filmed a tour while actual creators sat in chairs they owned. He smiled and replied that it actually belonged to everyone, having paid the entry fee. His mother did not understand the system, which was fine. The Freedom Dividend System pulsed one last time deep inside his dark, worn pocket. Away from cameras he checked, title route closed, condition fulfilled. Freedom without revenge. For a second, his old, dark hunger tempted him to tap. He wanted new rules, new ways to make people regret underestimating him. Then Paul called his name because Linda wanted a picture by the sign. He simply locked the phone because for once, the entire system could easily wait. Nobody in this room needed him to crawl or prove his worth anymore. They treated him like he belonged. That was the ultimate dividend. And stepped in.